Greetings, everybody. Dadman Walking 55 coming to you, yes, at 8 minutes after 9 on the East Coast. And yes, I was making you wait on purpose, because like they always say, good things come to those who wait. Like I told my boss at 7:45 one morning when he called a 7:30 meeting, didn't tell anybody what time the meeting was and or anything else, and my work day started at 8. So I wasn't going to take crap that day. Anyway, but hey, so much for starting off in a snarky mood tonight. Hey, it's a Monday night. It's a Thursday night. We streamed some Fortnite earlier. My gosh, I'm really falling out of this thing. Having not streamed since last Friday, I believe, as a regular stream until the Fortnite stream earlier. But folks, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding and everything else. Thank you for being with us when we go live randomly or when the missus can go when she goes. It's been an interesting week and a half, and we got a couple more weeks ahead with Mom, and she's doing better tonight. She's resting well. She's at the nice rehab facility where even I can sleep very well. Of course, I got scolded by the missus because I fell asleep with a doctor in there today, and I was like, sorry, I was just too comfortable. So, but, Mom's asleep right now. Hopefully the missus may join us at some point. If not, we understand. But thank you for all your thoughts and prayers for the family, for Mom, and continue. And we will keep you updated. So hopefully we can get a little more streaming going forward now that we sort of think we have a routine set up. But hey, thank you for your patience tonight. We appreciate it very much. So this is going to be a fun show tonight. These chillin' are always good chances to meet new people, talk to them, get to find out about them, not just their channels, but even more about them. So if you don't mind, hit that like button, share it out. Invite your friends, neighbors, dogs, puppies, bears, pets, dragons, all that. We bring them in here. We need to get one sub back because we're falling to 729. So we need to get that nice round 730 again. Okay, all the announcements out of the way. Let's see. Legatus is here. Legatus. That's lead off. Hey, hello, Legatus. How are you tonight? Starter Poopas, Cooper, hello, humans and other critters. Great to see you. By the way, there's video that made, I don't know if we get to it later, but apparently the Seattle Kraken's hockey team decided to go out in the Pacific Northwest and fly fishing or doing some promotional thing. And they made friends with a grizzly bear who chased them down. They finally got rid of them. They finally got bored with the humans, but it was so funny to watch. But good to see a snort there. Puke, we hope puke energy stays on for you tonight. Absolutely, yes. Puke energy is if you're up in the Carolinas, you know how bad puke energy is. Well, there is bad in Florida and the Central Florida area. Yeah, every time somebody passes gas, the power goes out. That's why they call it puke energy. Just ask Snortopoopas. And of course, let's see. Tina's asking, is everyone having a good day, afternoon or evening, depending on your time zone? It's been pretty good, I think, overall for me. We'll ask our guests in a second. You guys out there talk to Tina, respond to that. So I need a nap afterwards, though. Yeah, you're still conscious. So yeah, you feel like a number 2, but like I said, you are number 1 here, Snorpoopa. So and yeah, Mrs. is at the hospital. Boom, 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 boom. Don't talk to life. Okay. All right. And hi, back to you, Tina. Doing good tonight. I am finally healthy for the first time in a week at least. Yesterday was the best day yet, and then day before I was feeling pretty good, but I really, truly finally feel human and feel like I'm mentally able to stream and want to stream. That's why we got on Fortnite earlier. And I would not miss the stream tonight for the world. I mean, yes, we will definitely give a special intro to our guests here. Yeah, I'm not 60 minutes time or maybe time. What are y'all doing? What are y'all blast? What are you talking about? Alarm clock. Hey, my guest arrives exactly on time, just like a wizard does. Have you not watched Lord of the Rings? But all right, so there we go. Of course, there's the channel right there for our great guest tonight. We're going to find out a lot more about her. Izzo's Place. Hello. Welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for everybody being here. Like I said, if you don't mind sharing it out, please do. Let's be. Yeah. Oh, discombobulated is probably putting it mildly. Legatus. Sashi, you've returned tentatively. I know the missus has missed you very badly, and I think you were sick too recently. Hope you are doing well. Always great. Yes, thank you, cousin Grizz. Okay. Oh yeah, it's morning for Sashi. All right. Let's go. Here we go. We got 9 people watching. If you're on the Twitch side, make sure you follow. On the YouTube side, share it out, hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Well, this is a guest that I have only recently bumped into by appearing on another stream with Lorena recently, on a stream that I'm not normally on, but hey, I got invited on and got to meet this wonderful American in every sense of the word. Great human being, very kind person. Uh, so and I really, I'm always on the lookout for new guests and new people to talk to and meet and see what's up with people. Well, this one was like an instant. Yes, let's do this. We have many family members that have been military. We have current serving military. We have those that have gone on before us in the past generations. But yes, but she does a lot more than just that. So that's what we're going to find out about tonight. But hey, let me not, without further ado, let me bring in the one, the only, the great and incomparable Sam Woolf, a military
Dude,
wife.
for a second there, I'm like, is he talking about me? Great, incomparable. What?
I do. I love
Thanks.
my guests, and they are special. So, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm hoping the kids don't try to crash the stream again. They think it's funny that mommy has been doing live streams and they like to try to sneak in. So we'll just
Ah,
see what happens.
well, that's okay. Tonight's stream is more family friendly anyway, because it's more of a laid back, chill type of we'll sit here, have fun together and stuff like that. So if this is the one they invade, it's okay. It's all good. Sometimes on Friday nights it could get a little racy, but hey, but we always see. But great to have you. And hey, Fallsmeyer's here. Hey, Fallsmeyer, how are you tonight? Good to see you. So, oh my goodness. So you've had a busy week, haven't you?
Yeah. So it's end of summer and wanted to get out and just have a last bit of fun with the kids before school starts again. And so I like going off the grid every now and then and completely unplugging. I like going places where you don't even really get cell phone service.
Mm-hmm.
And so, family and all met up and hung out near a lake for a couple of days and taught or tried to teach the boys how to fish. My dad, my stepdad, he's always jokes that there's two types of people when it comes to that. There's fishermen and catchermen, people who don't mind just fishing and have never catching anything. They just like doing it and being there
Mm-hmm.
in nature. And then there's catchermen who like if they don't catch a fish, it's a big deal. And I'll
Right.
admit, my oldest is a catcherman. He gets very, very distraught if he does not catch a fish. But the boys had fun doing that. The girls honestly didn't really want to fish that much this year, but then we went canoeing and boating and stuff, and we all enjoy that. My stepdad's really talented, and he's built a canoe
Mm-hmm.
and no, a kayak. He's built a kayak from like scratch.
Wow.
And but the thing is like he hangs it up in the house. It's like a decorative piece, but it's not just decorative. He takes it down every summer, at least a couple times every summer and lets the kids like use it. Teaches
Right.
the grandkids, all of us how to when he married my mom, he taught us all how to use it. And so for him, it's like, yeah, it's fun. It's a cool thing he did, but he wants it to be practical and he doesn't mind that it gets dinged up and all of that. So I love that he's so chill about, the fact that with kids, things get dinged up when they get used. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, because some people like don't like when things get dinged. It's like, but why'd you make it to begin with? I know. I kind of had the same way with my wife. With the first birthday party I hosted for her, I was like, why are all these little kids coming in, crashing your party, opening your presents? She's like, calm down. It's okay. It's the way we do it in our family. But yeah, speaking, yes, Sashi, we do family friendly at times. We do. We have to. Some of our fortnights and other things. So oh, he's been here for some of the wild parties. So yes, I want it to cool off. Tina said there's two kinds of people: extra crunchy and original recipe. But that's two.
yeah,
Yes, and Figgy plays. Hello, Figgy. We hope to have her on this type of stream one day. Sorry,
that's
sorry,
fine.
Sam. Sorry.
Usually
I,
I'm the one that breaks out into music in our family. So that was a new experience, being the bystander.
Good experience. That's a way to play. Well, wait till you hear "Hello, Citrus." I love the way he spells
Oh
fruitcakes,
my
though.
god.
What? It's not that bad, is it? Just
Fruit no, okay, fruit my dyslexic brain didn't catch that that was wrong at first, and then now it's bugging me that it's anyway.
it's okay. Well, whatever comes up comes out. So on our snort poop, it's just not that bad. Okay, but yes, these are two great musical people.
Okay,
But
can I tell you another funny thing, though?
please do
My
it,
husband and I
please.
were going through our calendar, and he was like, "Wait, honey, what live stream are you doing tonight?" I'm like, "Dad Man Walking." He's like, "Yeah, you know you put it in the family calendar as Dog Man." I'm like, "Yeah, sorry. Hey, at least I'm not calling him God Man."
You did call me Dog Man though the other night.
I
Remember?
did, and evidently I
Yes.
put that in the calendar too. That's yeah, the dyslexia does
That hey,
it
I
does
will.
cause
I
problems.
watch Dogman with my adult kid. That's still my kid. I like. Yes, I'll take Dogman any day. I love that too. Yes.
Yeah.
See now the chat doubles down and Dogman comes
Yep.
out again.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
That's okay.
Dogman
It can be a
walking.
little inside joke.
I love it. Dogman walking is that the family pet? Well, probably
Yeah.
if we get a puppy.
Yeah, you guys
Gosh.
have cats though, right?
No, we're cat people. We're
Yeah,
cat people, so it had to be Catman walking. If we
true.
do that. Oh, look at this. The whole chat. Dogman and Ziggy, friends forever. Oh, Figgy, that makes my heart happy.
I love that.
I ended
That's
up,
cute.
I have to use voice chat sometimes, and the voice chat gets so screwed up with weird language and stuff. Usually, the women that get the messages have learned it and can interpret it more than others. My wife, other female friends do. We actually call that dadmanese. Where
Okay.
I've invented my own language and people can interpret it. So
Don't worry,
uh,
Lemon Pie. I'm a dog person, so you can stay because of me.
yeah, stay, lemon pie, stay, down boy, nice boy. Anyway,
No,
but yes,
my in-laws are cat people, and my family are largely dog people, but we don't mind cats too.
mm-hmm,
But when my husband and I, because the running joke was that during COVID, every military family either got a new car, a new pet, or had a baby. Well, we
mm-hmm.
were the new pet family. And so when we got our dog and we first told my in-laws, they're like, "But why would you do that? Why would you
Huh.
want a dog?" And then they all met our dog. They're like, "Oh, your dog is like half cat." I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." Our dog likes to sunbathe and chase laser pointers and all sorts of stuff.
That is so
So,
awesome. We well, what's so funny with us? We do like dogs. We really, really do. That's what's interesting. We do like the dogs, but our in-laws have dogs. But see, we're more the big dog type people. I don't know what. See, do you like the
we have a
little yipper
medium
dogs,
size.
medium
No, no,
size?
no.
Okay.
My husband, because he's military, he's like, "No, I'm not having a lunch meat dog. I'd be laughed at. I've gotta have a real dog."
Yes.
So, yeah, we have a real dog.
Yes. Dog man does not end up neutered. No. Even though I'm old, but it's still no, no. Like Wes Cagel's avatar on our squirrel streams is protect these nuts. So exactly. All right. Sorry about that. I had to lay down the law
No,
there
it's
for that
okay.
one. So yeah. Polar bears make good pets, just saying.
I guess depending on where you're living and how much real estate you've got.
Well, he's the polar bear of Pinellas County. So, folks, we got 10 likes. We got 15 watching. Be sure to hit that like button. But yeah, it was interesting. One thing you mentioned about lake and all, and you don't reveal anything about where you are, things like that and all. But like here in Florida, one of the issues we have are like moccasins, water snakes, and like amoeba, like the flesh eating
Mhm.
bacteria amoeba. We have to worry
Yep.
about that in all our fresh waters. Do y'all have to where you are?
Well, we've lived lots of different places. I'm originally from Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't tend to have um, one of the places we lived, there was leeches. That was something that we had to worry about, but we didn't
Okay.
really do much with the water there. We swam more in, like, swimming pools,
Right.
because I had toddlers and I wasn't going to deal with leeches and toddlers, and then just didn't, sound like fun.
No, not at
Um,
all.
we tend to be very careful about where we swim anyway, regardless, because we have lived so many different places. We do realize that there are water critters that are not always human friendly or toddler or kid friendly.
Hmm.
And I just don't want to deal with that on vacation. I want to have fun. And that's one reason why we genuinely love canoeing and stuff, because that allows us to still be out on the water without actually being in the water.
Right.
And so yeah, that's typically where we what we do. But yeah, I tend to swim mostly in a pool because I'm an Arizona girl. I don't know if you
Okay.
know this, but back during the Sydney Olympics, a good chunk, if not half, of the US Olympic team were actually from Phoenix, Arizona. And at one point, they pulled them all aside for an interview. And I remember the reporter asking, "How is it that a bunch of kids from a desert are so good at swimming?" And they're like, "Have you ever flown into Phoenix? It's the land of turquoise dots. Everyone knows how to swim, especially in a pool. We all know what we're doing." So that's just how I grew up. I was able to swim pretty well by the age of 5, and I basically just lived in a pool. That's how you survive Phoenix,
Hmm.
Arizona summers. So
Right.
it's just you got it. You have to. The public pools were always dirt cheap. You always knew which friends had a pool, and I had some family members with a pool. So one way or another, I was in a pool at least a couple times a week.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, definitely different in Florida where you have an ocean or beaches. That's the other, not just the brackish water, the fresh water. You know, we had the beaches
Yeah.
on both coasts and stuff like that.
Well,
Go ahead.
my mom grew up in California, total beach California girl. And I remember we were kids and we were hanging out with my aunt had put on a tape. Yes, I'm that old, a cassette tape of the ocean.
No,
And
you sound
I
like
kept
you're in your
running.
20s, though, Sam.
I'm not in my 20s.
Okay.
I am a bit older than that. Let's just
Okay.
say I had cassette tapes, I've had
Okay.
CDs, and,
The question is, did
you
you have
know,
8-track tapes?
no, I'm not that old.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm young enough that I still have a toddler. Let's put it that way.
There you go. Works too.
But no, I didn't know what it was, so I kept running to the front room and looking out the window, and my
Hmm.
aunt's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, There's cars. Why does it sound like there's a bunch of cars?" She realized I thought the waves from the ocean were cars, and she turned one look at my mother, and she's like, "We are taking them to California. We are taking them to the beach, and you know what? We're probably gonna take them to Disney while we're at it." And my mom was a single mom at the time, so she's like, "Fine, but you gotta help pay for it," because she was an elementary school teacher and
Oh
had
yeah.
5 kids, and anyway, they took us to the ocean, and my sister and I are observers, we're people watchers.
Right.
And so we were watching the other kids play in the ocean and break waves and body surf and everything. And
Mm.
this other family noticed that we didn't have any kickboards. And so they let us borrow them. And I was breaking the waves and doing all that. I didn't know when to ride a wave and not try to break it.
Right.
And so I got pulled under by this massive wave, not badly, but like enough to scare me. And I come on board back onto shore and I'm like choking, like gagging up like salt water. And my aunt's like, "Why didn't you ride that?" I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You didn't watch long enough." And she points out the people riding the waves back. I'm like, "Oh, okay." But like,
Yeah.
I was 12, 13. I was like early teens at the time, and I thought I knew everything, and I didn't wanna listen to my mom and my aunt who
Yeah.
actually knew stuff about the beach, and I paid. I paid for my cockiness.
I understand. Well, listen, what happened with us was I think my youngest Ang was about 5, between 4 and 6. She was not old at all, because even our oldest was pretty young. But they all went with a friend to the beach, and you know, my wife is the type of person that goes to the beach and she puts umbrellas all around her to sit in complete shade at the beach. You know, so we don't go to the beach, and she noticed the kid out there like up and down, up and down. It's like to her friend, "Hey, is she drowning?" And my friend was like, "What?" and started screaming at her kids to get the kids. So, you know, but they brought her back in, and at that point, that's when my wife said, "Both kids get swim lessons." You know,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. Those type of things out in the ocean. You know, you're not used to the current stuff like that. Now, of course, it didn't help when the Mrs. really had fun taking the girls to swim lessons when their swim instructor was this like hot 22-year-old guy that was in elementary education. That all the moms were really happy that he was the swim instructor, but it
Oh, uh, the swim instructors in our area, there's the lead instructor, and he's like older than me, and
yeah
then the rest of them are all teenagers.
uh,
So, yeah,
yeah
that's not why we go. Oh,
well
yeah, does the bubby cuteness want something? Uh, 2 seconds.
no
Vivi, you
problem,
already had dinner.
no problem.
Go
It's
take that to
okay.
your sister.
Yeah,
Bubby cuteness wants a snack. Sorry,
well,
everyone.
it's okay.
I'm
Bubby cuteness.
negotiating with a toddler. It's like reverse hostage negotiations.
For a second, I'm sitting there thinking Figgy's here because she calls her kid, older kid, Bubby.
Yep, she's Bubba cuteness.
Oh, hi, Bubby cuteness.
Yeah. Okay, go ask Sean. Go
Oh,
ask your siblings. Go ask brother or sister. Sorry, I don't typically say names, and I just dropped one on. Out,
it's
out.
it all. Hey, we don't know where you are.
There are
We'll
more of
skin it.
those loves, but
But
not
yes,
right now. Sorry,
yes.
I am
You
negotiating with
do what
children.
you
This is
have to do. Do what you have to do.
okay.
I'll read a couple of the chats real
Let
quick.
her have it.
Yeah, polar
Viv,
bears do make great bearskin rugs. That and then
cuteness,
dragons make
head
good
down.
rugs too. Oh, by the way,
Down.
yeah.
Okay, I evicted the children, I think.
Okay,
All right,
that's
yeah,
cool.
you close the door, lovey. All right.
Bye.
See, I told you we might get a we
I
might get
love
some
it.
unexpected guests.
I love it. We got a 22-year-old that walks through our living room and just out of nowhere pipes up or opens my door, and I'm like, it's so funny when they were always streaming like, "Don't come in my room," and now it's like, "Hi," but you know we just embrace it as
Yeah.
part of the show. Izzo's place, Pet Leeches. You hanging out with his family, so
No, no.
and and hey Joseph, old man cometh. Good to see you too. How are you doing? Remember, works for the city of Celebration, Florida, getting copperheads out of the pools every day. One
Oh
thing
my
I do
goodness.
One thing I remember about Las Vegas was they said if you go golfing, don't put your hands down in the cups. They actually have the cups.
Never.
They had the cups to pull your ball out, and these you never
Yep.
reach down inside anything. So
Same with Phoenix. You got to be careful because we like that's the thing. Like I grew up, they teach you in kindergarten how to avoid scorpions, how to avoid black widows, how to like notice where they're going to be, what the sound of a rattlesnake sounds like,
yep.
what to do if you get bit by or stung by any of those things, as well as Gila monsters. And honestly, I ran into all of them except for Gila monsters. And but
Mm,
dude, you don't want to run into a Gila monster.
no.
They are
So
bad
it's
news.
Gila, not Gila.
Gila.
So the G is an H, not a G. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, Gila monsters, the only way to get them to detach and killing them isn't enough. If you kill them, you're hosed. You're not going to get them off of you without you're like
Whoa.
losing a chunk of flesh. You have to dip whatever appendage you have into water and start suffocating them by doing that to get them
Holy
to
crap.
detach their jaw because they'll lock their jaw once they bite and clamp on. And then their like saliva and stuff starts like eating at your flesh. It's great.
Dang.
So
And that,
avoid Gila monsters.
that's scary. But Sashi in
Well,
Malaysia.
honestly,
Yeah.
you rarely see them. Like I know they exist in Arizona, but I've been hiking, camping everywhere in the state of Arizona, and I have yet to encounter one. It's just if you're going to be in the state of Arizona and you're gonna be outdoors, know
Yeah.
what they look like so you
Yeah.
know what to avoid.
No,
Oh, and they
yes.
move fast.
Know your enemy, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, Sashi's in Malaysia has water snakes, leeches, crocodiles, water monitors, and large river fish in the water. Out of the water, we have large bugs, snakes, elephants, and wild boar. The tigers are mostly deeper in. Plus, also, Sashi has many, many great Asian recipes. Now, see, Figgy, do you have an above ground pool or an in ground pool? Because that's what happened to us. We had an above ground pool that felt like bath water at midnight. It was just like it never got to where it was gave you any relief. Wow, you're wired up now.
Oh, and see, in all sincerity, in Arizona, I grew up with expecting pools to be 90 degrees.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
85 to 90-degree pools
Oh,
where
wow.
it's nice and toasty warm because I'm an Arizona girl. And then we moved to other places and people are like, let's go swimming. I'm like, that's freezing. And they're
I
like,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, my God.
I like my pools to be almost jacuzzis.
That works. That works. Lemon pie. Do tigers ever try to return a pair of eyeglasses? By the way,
Oh
Sashi
my
also works with
gosh.
eyeglasses. So, let's see. Oh, he doesn't have the training for that. Oh my God! Now that's scary. Swimming in bayous, Figgy.
Oh,
Holy
wow.
cow!
You're gutsy.
Hell
That's,
yeah!
yeah.
I can't even go down to Itchitecny in Florida because that cold, clear water. Because it's like I swear every tree branch looks like a snake under there. And yes, if brown, turn around if the water is. I agree. No, the bear's starting to fade. No, but he waved at the kid. Don't give. It's not. We don't have John McClane with us tonight. She was not negotiating with terrorists. Oh gosh.
No, just reverse hostage
There you
negotiations.
go.
It's like, go to bed. You want a helicopter to Cuba? You want $1 million? Fine, just go to
Oh
bed.
my god. Yeah, his son. She's bringing in the full Asian uh, perspective now. Negotiating with Tyler Snacks. The Tyler doesn't have a paying job. Outrageous. That would never fly in Asia. Oh, wow, an in-ground pool that does not cool off. Wow, that is strange. Did not realize that. So, bring Canadian Dragons, Tim Hortons coffee and donuts, and you'll be fine. Yes. And hello, Captain Finity. How are you tonight? Hope you are doing well. And poopy, yes, especially with the little toddlers. But yeah, it's that is neat. That wow, we've already spent almost nearly half an hour just on swimming and outdoors and stuff. Is there any one activity you like the best personally? I know we talked about kayaking, camping, different things. What if you had one thing that you really find the most relaxing or your favorite? What would it be?
I genuinely love swimming. I really do. But like my whole thing is I grew up with just we would kind of do anything. Like my family would play volleyball together, we'd play bocce ball together. I cannot play basketball to save my life. Absolutely never been good at basketball. And I'm a great baseball mama in the fact that I support my boys and I love and I cheer from them from the sidelines and I understand the lingo and how to coach them. I can't throw a ball to save my life. Can't dribble, can't throw a ball. So those are not things I'm good at. But like playing board games, just hanging out with the family, I grew up with a single mom and we have 5 kids, and so we had to find ways to entertain ourselves that were economical and honestly, my favorite thing was camping and swimming because my mom was a school teacher so that she would have the same schedule as us. And so in the summer, she would just come home sometimes and she'd be like, okay, where are we going to go? I want to get out of the city. And we'd
Mm-hmm.
open up a map. Yes, I'm that old too. And we would
Oh.
point to some place we'd never been to and we would load up. We always had the camping gear ready to go at a moment's notice, load up the car, grab some groceries, and just head out on an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I love being outside. Anything that can get me outside, I'm happy. If it's swimming, if it's hiking, if it's camping, I just
Okay.
like being outside.
Okay. Let
So,
me say goodnight. Bye to Sasha. He might pop back in, but he's got to head to work. And Snort Poopas is bedding down tonight, the old bear. Thank you for being here, though, both of y'all, for as long as y'all have. We appreciate it.
see you,
And
Snortopoopas.
catch what you missed later, because this is going to be very fascinating when we're done at the end of all this. See, you sound a lot like my wife. She likes going camping with the family and doing puzzles with the sisters, things like that.
Yeah.
Not really what I like to do, but then again, uh,
Well, my
she.
husband and I grew up
Oh, hi,
really
buddy,
differently too.
buddy. Hey, how are you doing? Good to see you too. And that's kind of like she and I did. But what we did here, they're insane. They went camping in Florida on the Labor Day weekend. And dear God, I'm like, please, let's not ever do that again. You don't go camping in
That
Florida on
sounds
Labor Day
like
weekend.
fun.
Oh my God, I thought I was going to die. The air was so hot, heavy. I mean, maybe in the fall or
See, that's
spring.
okay. I forgot. You guys don't have mountains.
Right, and I
See,
tent camp. We tent camp. They RV camp, so we have to do all and the thing. Let me explain to you. She did like the little awning tent around where her and her sisters could
uh-huh.
have a light and do a puzzle outside.
Yeah.
outside of our tent, and we had the tent. She had me hooked up with first weekend of college football season. I had a Roku, I had a TV there on a table with an air conditioning in the tent.
Oh,
That was
see, she
that
knows you.
she set me up really good. So that was my time. She says it's glamping. I'm like, okay, I'll
Oh,
deal
it's
with it.
totally glamping. I'm still a tent camper, but my sister isn't. And
Yeah.
so when we go camping with them, we find cabins, usually Forestry Service cabins. So here's a hack for anybody who's wanting to get into camping, but is not a tent camp person. Go to recreation.gov and look at it. There's a ton of old forestry cabins, yurts, different things like that. So you can glamp, but it's not one of those expensive like camping
Hmm.
resort sort of things.
Right.
You're actually still more out in nature, so you're getting away from the little bit of the amenities, but you
Right.
still have, one running water and power and a bed to sleep in.
Oh, I love yurts. We had one at Torreya State Park in Florida. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it was like, man, that was really nice. That was really, really, I like the comfort. Izzo's place said my wife likes to sleep at home and play when we camp. Play all the time
Yep.
except when we camp, and then I sleep till still together after 25 years. That's cool. My wife,
You got to find your compromises.
yeah,
You do.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I will
we
say,
haven't
yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. We went tent camping with friends over 4th of July weekend this year. And that was a blast, but that's not what my sister likes to do. And then um my brothers, if we can get them to do anything, they want to go to like an actual hotel, which blows my mind. That's also my in-laws. So my
Hmm.
husband, that was what I was going to say. My husband grew up road
Hmm.
tripping, but he
Right.
didn't camp on road trips like I did. His family would get hotel rooms. And that's because he had 2 parents and they were working pretty good jobs. And so
Right.
like, when, like, he went to Disneyland almost every summer. I was
Right.
just like, "Yeah, that was not my childhood." And so, like, we would go to stuff like that occasionally, but that was usually if my aunt was involved in that sort of a trip. But so he was used to those sorts of vacations, and when we got married, I'm like, "We can't afford that. We gon' camp." And then we got to the point where we were living cross country from family, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't really wanna go camping while I travel back to see family. So, yep, we're gonna get,
Right.
one of those memberships to the hotels where we can build up points because we're
Yep.
military." And so we've gotten some free stays, but usually we only do that when we're road tripping to see
Right.
family.
Well, see, one of the best outdoor trips we've taken, and there's videos of it on my channel because we did some what we call detours with Dadmans. We actually took a 16-day trip to Yellowstone and back. It was a 6,000-mile trip that we
Mhm.
drove in our Kia. We
Yep.
crossed the Continental Divide 4 times, including at almost 9,800 feet with our belt screeching at the top of its lungs.
Oh, yeah, elevation
We
is a thing.
Yeah. Oh no. When we got back, that thing had what didn't even have alligator teeth on that one belt. That was missing chunks of the belt. So how we got
Oh,
back,
golly.
who knows? But see, that was the greatest adventure my wife and I ever had. We'll be married
But
30 years in
see
January, and I miss that. I really wish that I could get the time off from work and have the money to just go again and actually take a month to do it a little bit slower, to spend some more time in cities, towns like Cody and things like that, because
Oh, yeah.
I just love driving up those mountains in Wyoming and just we rolled the windows down in the Kia and just enjoyed driving around, seeing the bison and whatever else we came into, and it just
If you
that's
do
my type
that,
of
there's some
outdoors adventure.
places I'll recommend. If you do end up doing it again, let me know. There's some places you should stop because you probably went right past Chimney Rock and didn't even know it.
Probably did, yeah.
Yeah, if you've anyone who's okay, in elementary school played Oregon Trail, Chimney Rock still exists. It's a real
Okay.
thing. And we went there. We one summer were road tripping from Kentucky back west to see family, and we decided to actually, oh, my husband brought me popcorn.
Hey,
Um,
nice.
we decided to actually take the Oregon Trail.
Oh, really?
From yeah, from Kansas City to where we were headed. We took the Oregon Trail for most of the way. We stopped at Chimney Rock. We stopped at all these different forts, and it was so much fun. I wish my kids had been older because our kids had fun with it. We stopped at all these forts and they got to see a little climb all over things. We got pictures, but they don't remember it. So we've got to do it
Mm-hmm.
again. But to
Yeah.
me, I love bringing history alive. So my mom was an educator and she's super big into being a lifelong learner. And by the way, about the snow, I just saw the thing about the snow camping. My dad, my stepdad, he winter camps for fun. He actually taught the explorer scouts or what the highest level of scouting how to build igloos and camp in the snow for fun. That's what
Oh
he
wow.
did for volunteering. So I won't do that because I'm not crazy, but my dad loves that. So,
That's nice. I would rather camp in cold weather than the hot weather because we actually went. What's it? North in Alabama, I think we had it. We were down in the upper 30s sometimes, and I mean that was cool. I like it cold, not overly hot, but yeah, it was. It was definitely fun. But that trip to the Rockies was just, and we hit some of the Civil War battlefields on the way back that we
mhm.
never get to in Arkansas and Missouri that we never would get. To do. And we actually, it was so neat going through South Dakota. I mean, we stopped at places we never would have. But the problem we had, we had to, we were keeping up with family. But then again, the way it became is they become weird and got stuck on things. And we're just like, we're ready to move on to something else. It finally became, we just stayed at the same hotels on the whole trip. And we just saw them occasionally or maybe had dinner once in a while because we're like, even my wife was like, and it was her family. She said, "Let's go. Let's just have fun." And it really was a great trip with the two of us, and it just was some great adventure. And that's my type of outdoor trip. Give me a hotel, but especially on that one it was just so many memories with that one, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
you. Good to see America. Only like I said, the only thing is,
Oh yeah.
wish we could have slowed down because we had a lot of 12 and 13 hour day drives, and
And
that was
see, I
the
yeah,
hard
I
part.
don't like those. I try not if we're doing a road trip, I try not to do more than 8 hours in the car because
Yep,
it's hard on kids
yep.
and it's hard on me.
Well, at
As
least it
much
was
as I
just the
l
two of yeah. At least it was the two of us. So it was kind of like we would try to stream where we could, where we had reception, so the people in the chat could kind of help us go. But the most fun we had was coming back, and when we were leaving, we had to get from Yellowstone to Denver that night, and
Uh-huh.
we wanted to stop at a little bit in the Tetons and stuff on the way out. Stopped in a place in Wyoming with Nana's Bakery and Bowling. I could have spent 2 days there, but we ended up coming back.
Actually, I think I've heard of that place, and I think we may have been past that.
Yes, because they had the jackalope in that town.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they,
Yep,
they,
yep,
they
yep.
had the gas
I
station
know
with the
where you're
jackalope.
talking about.
Oh wow, this is cool. Yeah, yeah, that's because we used TikTokers or road trippers when they were free and when they were not kind of weird. We used them and found things like that. And we had those stops there. Well, Nana's was just we saw. Oh, let's go there to eat. We didn't bowl, unfortunately. We didn't have time. Had to get to Denver, and we got there like at 11 o'clock at night in a thunderstorm. My wife singing when we got going into Denver spent the last hour singing the Exit 67, Exit 66, and she was singing to me to keep me awake that last hour. Speaking of keeping me awake,
Oh,
Wes Cagel's here. Hey, used to camp up in New
yeah.
Jersey.
Okay. So I've lived in New Jersey too, but
No
I
way.
actually have not been up to there.
Well,
So,
I guess
yeah.
I'll have to include you on the New Jersey tweets then now.
Oh,
Gosh.
heck yeah.
Is there any
Um,
state you have not lived in, if you don't mind saying?
oh, okay. So I have not lived in every state, but I have been to more than 25 of the 50 states.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I've lived in Jersey, Kentucky, Arizona, of course, Utah, and a couple others. So,
Mhm.
I've lived in somewhere near approaching double digits on states,
Oh, cool.
and I'm not sure which kid's toothbrush that is. Now I'm getting asked toothbrush questions. My husband's trying to
Okay.
put the kids you'll
It's
understand
okay.
this if you had kids. He's trying to do the nighttime routine without me, and he's trying to be super self-sufficient.
Well,
I
listen,
don't know who's
he is gracious enough to share you with us tonight. So by all means, help him out
Yep,
as he
but
needs.
So no, I lived in Kentucky, or sorry, I lived in Jersey for 2 years, or no, sorry, year and a half. I lived in Atlantic City, Princeton, Camden area, mostly. Not in Camden. I'm not insane. Um,
I think Wes has told me about Camden also.
yeah, Camden's special.
Him and Tom had talked about New Jersey, and I think Camden is one both of them been like, no.
Yeah. No, last time when we were doing that Friday night stream, we talked about Mischief Night and all that.
Hmm.
Okay, I thought all of that stuff was just things you saw in Hollywood. Okay, before I moved to New Jersey when I was in college for a year and a half, I had lived only in 2 states and I had only been to like 3 states. 4? Maybe 4 states. And so, yeah, 4 states. I'd been to 4 states. I'd only lived in 2. I hadn't really seen a whole lot, and everything I had seen had been the Southwest. I knew the Southwest well. And then I go completely across the country to do a lag year and service for a year and a half. And it blew my mind. It completely blew my mind because I thought I knew what urban environments looked like. I thought I knew what um what things were. And there was stuff I was like, "Oh my gosh, this isn't what Hollywood makes up about the East Coast. This stuff really exists." Like people it's just really funny. And the more I've lived in different places, the more you realize that in some ways the stereotypes are so true. Like there's a reason why they're stereotypes. Some of those things are legit.
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah.
when
Like
we were
Wes talking about Camden, the definition of ghetto.
Oh yeah,
Finity saying
yeah.
they took a wrong turn in Hoboken. Does that count?
So yeah, in that case, if turning or making a wrong turn in Hoboken, you're probably in northern Jersey. That was one thing I learned really quickly. Nobody is from Jersey. They're from northern Jersey, central Jersey, or South Jersey. And one of the quickest ways to find out what part of Jersey they
You,
are from without asking them was what beach did your family go to for
you were the
vacation?
second person that told me that. That's exactly how Wes Cagle has described Jersey to me before.
Straight up.
That is
That is
odd.
literally. And I lived in lower central and then southern Jersey. I've been all the way down to Cape May. Cape May is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
I'm not if I had a chance to vacation anywhere, I probably wouldn't pick some big tourist trap city unless I'm going to like Paris or Rome or like someplace like that. I
Yeah.
would pick some sleepy little town that has beautiful architecture because that's what I love.
Okay.
And
Cool.
by the way,
Hmm.
um the the Hoboken, okay, West Cagle, have you ever been to but Buddy Velastro's bakery, the Carlos Bakery, because when Buddy Velastro was doing his TV show about the Cake Boss, at one point he went to the island where his dad was born. My
Hmm.
family are from that island in Sicily, so
Oh
just so you
wow.
know.
Okay. I remember
I'm
you've got the Italian in you, so
Yeah,
yes.
probably not related to the Cake Boss, but our people came from the same island, so
That,
probably knew each other at some point.
that's cool. That's interesting. Well, is there any particular state that you ever lived in where you just hated?
Oh, my least favorite state.
And while you're thinking about
There's
that,
been goods and
huh?
bad about every one of them.
But is there anyone that just really takes cake for just, dear Lord, get me out of here?
I would never live in Jersey again. I would
Ah,
never live in Jersey again.
okay,
I would
gotcha.
visit. There are things I'd love to see, people I'd love to see, but the bureaucracy and the roads and oh, they're just the the actual process of living in Jersey, not so pleasant.
Well, now they're making it hard to leave. It's like the Hotel California.
Yup.
You can't ever escape. You gotta pay to leave the state if you're a resident. But
Oh,
it's
you
crazy,
had to always pay to leave the state, but now they fine you for moving away, which is a
yeah,
whole nother ball game.
gosh. Well, we will save that for another day. I know we'll get Wes Cagle started on that on another time.
Well, I was gonna
But
say, Wes
yeah,
Cagle, have you ever been have you uh okay. We I need to talk to him sometime and see if there's some places I've
well,
been, see
join
if he's ever been
if
to
you.
some of the
Well, if
places.
you're able to join us tomorrow night, we're going to try to do 9 o'clock. Wes, did you? West, are you going to be with us tomorrow night or not? Did you get the game set up or not? I messaged you on that. So, oh, Stevens Institute of Technology. Okay.
Okay.
Captain Finity said Sleepy Charming New England would recommend Fleischman and Margaretville in the Catskill Mountains, upstate New York.
You know, I have been told about Margaritaville before in the Catskills, and that is on my radar as a place to go see.
Okay, well, that's cool. That's interesting. My in-laws are just up there across the border in Canada. So Izzo's got to sleep. Hey, no problem, Izzo. Good to see you tonight. All right. So Wes will be with us tomorrow night. So if
Okay,
you're
good to
able to
know.
make it, if you're able to make it with us tomorrow night too, Sam, but maybe we
If
can
I
catch
do,
up
it
on that.
might not be for the whole stream. It might be just
That's
for part of it.
hey, that's fine. We take any port of blood that we can get. So
For
even if
the
it's
sake of my
20.
husband's sanity, I might help him put the kids to bed so he doesn't have
Yeah.
to do it by
Oh
himself
yeah.
2 nights in a row
Yeah,
and
well,
then jump on.
have him help you put the kids to. I'll put the kids to bed, then y'all come hang out with us. But it's
Yep.
anyway. He's got no bit. And Jess, hello, Jess. Good to see you too. Yes, that's what I would think too. Here, this great mod gets me all kinds of photos for all kinds of stuff on all of our streams. All right, let's talk about you though a little bit. We're going to get a little bit more serious here in a bit. Your we're 45 minutes in. We see. I told you it'd be fun and
Oh yeah, I'm a talker.
there we go. You said it. I told you. So hey, all right. Your channel though specifically is Sam Wolf, a military wife. I actually
Life
what
of a military wife, yeah.
Life of a military wife, and I guess I was reading your X handle, but see, you're not just all focused military. Yeah, I watched a premiere video you did yesterday about homeschooling. Tell
Yep.
us, oh, Figgy, stop that. She's going to make it fun. There is actually some good information we got coming up here. But homeschooling, I mean, you're not just all the military stuff and all that, but I think I saw one of your other videos about, helping people. What do you do when you go to deploy?
Yep.
Things like, let me just shut up and let you explain what you
Okay.
do, what your channel is.
So, complicated life story is what gets you there, but I'll give you a quick summary. I'm
Uh,
a theater kid who's always been a little bit extra nerdy in other theater ways. So, my original major was political science. I wanted to work for the State Department.
hmm.
And so I've always been interested in international relations, policies, procedures, things like that. But at the same time, I was a theater kid. Like I loved to stage managing, I loved acting, singing, production, costume design. I
Oh,
enjoyed.
can
I
I
got a
cut you off one
scholarship.
second? Can I cut you off 1 second?
Yep, go.
Definitely got to get you with the missus and this lady here. So anyway, sorry.
Yes. So I did
We would
costume
definitely have
design.
a Broadway musical breaking out live on
Oh,
stream.
heck yeah. Oh, that was one of the games my husband played. Sorry, side tangent here.
Uh,
Side
okay,
quest. My husband all over he started this just before we left on vacation. He started playing random Broadway tunes and I'd have to guess what show they were from. And
right.
I was about 90% accurate. And then he started doing it on the trip and my dad jumped in. Between my stepdad and myself, we got every single one. Did not stump
Wow,
us once.
very
That's the thing I
impressive.
love about and so, yeah, I'm a huge theater nerd, but, anyway, I ended up taking because of some life stuff that came up, I decided to take a lag year and do service for a year and a half for my church, and I went to Jersey, and during that, I realized I love, theater, I love those sorts of things, but that wasn't a career that would fit me well, and I'd already realized that politics was not a career that would fit me well because I wear my heart on my sleeves, I don't do well with people being two-faced and stabbing you in the back.
I right there with you. Hey, Mrs. By the way, she knows me with that too.
Hey,
Yes,
but
add her to the mix. We've got it. She play productions and all that stuff too. So, but yeah,
we could
I
do
yeah.
we should do a like a readers theater sort of production.
We might have to do that. That could be fun. But yeah, I'm
That would be
sorry.
fun.
We keep
But
taking
anyway,
tangents. But yeah, sorry about that.
so
Go ahead.
I ended up switching universities after that lag year and went to BYU, Brigham Young University. So yay, you know, Wildcat, Mountain Lions. But
Except in
anyway,
football,
Cougars.
boo
Sorry, BYU
football.
Cougars. I can't believe I just got my own mascot wrong. Cougars, Cougars. Okay, all the BYU fans are going to totally hate me in the comments.
Wow.
Forgive me. BYU Cougars, I
It,
knew that.
it'd be like
I
calling
I
mine
always
the
like
Florida Bulldogs, but
I
I'm
know,
sorry.
yeah. But anyway, I went there and I majored in family life science and human development and focused on human development specifically. And so I've always been really interested in why people are the way they are, helping people, navigate difficulties. And I took an entire class on adaptation and resiliency. Oh, was that foreshadowing or what? Well, met my husband in college, got married, and he kept saying, I really feel like I need to join the military. And I'm like, pray about it. Ask God. And he's like, no, I really feel like I need to join the military. Well, we end up joining the military and I become a military wife. And once I get over the pity party of why me, why, all that crap, and I find some mentors eventually and I start to, get my feet under me. And then finally, we moved to another duty station, and I get put in charge of the women's organization for our congregation, our military congregation. And now all of a sudden, I've been a military spouse 5 years. I've got this degree in family life science, and I have these 18-year-olds coming to me going, what the crap did I get myself into? And I find myself over and over again, especially during COVID, giving the same sort of advice. And I'm like, I just wish there was a resource out there that I could just send them to and they could find a community, they could find the mentors, they could, you know, get the input, the life experience, the things I had to learn the hard way or I was lucky enough to have someone coach me through. And right around this time my mom passed away. And I just kept feeling like she was pushing me to do more. She always wanted me to like she's just like she always felt like I always felt like she knew I could do more, like, there was a mission for me, um, and I just needed to find what my mission was in life. Yes, I went to a Mormon college and I studied family life. Ha ha, Wes Kegel, I see that.
The way you
Hey,
called him,
at least
You called him Kegel, like the
Kegel,
Kegel. You called him Kegel, like
sorry.
the breathing in.
Hey,
I know, I love it. I call him Kegel all the time, so I love it.
sorry,
Yeah.
just like I say names the way I say names, but
I
sorry,
agree. I do
Wes.
too. But he's got north, south, and east also in his family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you haven't seen him
Um,
yet.
but yes, no, so one of my roommates, joking aside, West, she was a home ec major. So at least I wasn't a home ec major. My degree is pre-family therapy or occupational therapy or, parenting classes, those sorts of things. They tend to go become therapists, people in my degree program, or they end up teaching parenting classes or stuff like that. And so it ended up being a really great resource for me mentoring these military spouses. So I just got this feeling like my mom was pushing me to do something from the other side. And I made the mistake one time of mentioning to my husband, I'm like, maybe I should start a podcast. That way there would be a resource out there for all of these young military spouses. And my husband, being the fabulous man he is, immediately got on his phone and ordered me a mic and started looking up all the different stuff I needed to start a podcast. So I've been doing the podcast now for over 4 years. And I've been mostly on Speaker, or sorry, not Speaker. Yeah, Spreaker is my main platform, but Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, you name it, most of the big platforms I've been on for years. And that's where 90% of my audience is. And I had surprise baby in the middle of all of that and everything. Um, but it started to get really hard because I didn't feel like I was quite where I needed to be with the podcast. And then another YouTuber gave me an idea, and she will probably never know that she spawned the revamping of my page. She was whining about like, Prince Harry. Yes, I watched those ones. That's one of my like brain dead things. I watch Prince Harry and Meghan Markle crap just to be like, see, I'm not that messed up. It's
No,
probably not a
not
great
like
thing to
this
do.
North Kegel guy out there. So
Yeah, not at all. But, anyway, so went through that whole thing of was listening to her say, "You know what? Harry couldn't think of anything. He does Invictus. He works with veterans all the time, wounded veterans, and he couldn't even just make a podcast because that's why Spotify dropped them. Is he couldn't think of anything to do for a podcast. He's like, even if he just interviewed a different veteran every week, that would be an amazing podcast. And I'm like, hey, I could do that. So I started doing all the month of November veteran spotlights. I started this a couple years ago, all based on her, spitballing what Harry could have done better, Prince Harry. Um, and that got me going and thinking about, I've always wanted this to be more of a platform for people to share their experiences because I don't know everything about military life. Yes, we've been in over 10 years, but I don't know everything. I haven't done everything or lived through everything. And my husband's in one branch of the military. Things vary from one branch to another. And so getting to have more
Yes.
veterans on and then started spotlighting military spouses, especially ones who are authors who are writing about their experience, it was just a really great. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I guess I hit this like threshold of exposure. People started reaching out to me and saying,
Hmm.
"Hey, can we be on your podcast and share what we do for the military community?"
Hmm.
And I have had to tell a few of them no because it felt like they were more trying to do a money grab, cash grab from,
Oh yeah.
and I don't want that to be what it is. Um,
Back to the
but
fake people things we are talking about too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna go for shameless cash grabs. I'm not gonna platform people who just want to take advantage of the military community. That's not what we're here for. But this last spring, I realized baby cuteness was needing a lot more attention and doing these big, heavy research episodes where I would research, because I do have a background in politics and I have a background in um, family life science, I would, go into these research studies and I would read through these research studies and I'd break them down and put them in average person speak or these big congressional bills that were going to affect the military community. Like, for example, last year they tried to change the draft to include women and it almost passed. And most people have no clue that they were trying to add women to the draft and that it for the first time it got out of committee and was actually voted for on the floor and it was barely taken out at the last minute. So that's something that people weren't aware about. And you know
That's a
what? There's a
huge
lot of great
change.
arguments.
That would be a huge change in policy
It would be.
to add that. Now the merits of it, now their fairness and stuff. That's a different matter. But it's amazing how such a significant item like that gets no attention, and that's why you always have to watch bills and stuff and see proposed
Mhm.
legislation because if you're not careful, it goes once it gets passed and gets signed. You got a new
Yeah.
law that's got to be done and implementing. Amazing, like on that one. Imagine the fireworks that would happen with that.
Oh yeah.
If that came through.
And
Nice strings.
I was a small piece of the push, very small piece of the push to get the burn pits, the victims of the burn pits. Most people don't realize that there's over 2 million, probably now approaching 4 million soldiers who were exposed to toxic fumes um, to a dangerous level in burn pits while deployed. My husband's one of them and they were not being recognized for those diseases to be covered by the VA. They would have to prove all sorts of stuff, and the VA would not always cover those things. It wasn't until last year that finally, or was it 2 years ago? A while back. But I was one of the people in the military community really pushing for that, for the burn pit registry and for the rights for
Mm-hmm.
those victims, and they finally got that passed.
Mm-hmm.
But I've known lots of people who have major health conditions and some of them cancer from those burn pits, and it was a nightmare trying to get it proved that that
Right.
was caused by their military service so the VA would cover it. So those are the sorts of things I was covering before I made this shift in my channel. Now I am doing a lot of interviews. I'm
Mm-hmm.
interviewing veterans, military spouses, all those sorts of people and letting them share their stories, their experience, their bits of knowledge that they gained, like the one I did. So Beth Runkle, I'm going to plug her right now. She is an incredible military spouse. Her
Nice.
husband's now a veteran. But
Yeah.
a lot of people in the military homeschool because we
Hmm.
have this opportunity to travel all over the world and to see all these amazing things. And why stick your kid in a classroom all day when you can go and take them to see all these historical sites, to live
Hmm.
those experiences? And so, but then there's some that want to, and sometimes one place you go, they'll have like a really great public school. Then that's where you put your kids. And sometimes you'll homeschool. Sometimes you'll homeschool one and another will be in a charter school. It's okay to be flexible. And that's what Beth and I talked about. Beth homeschooled her kids. She's
That
written
was
a
this
really,
was the this was this 214 this last episode, correct?
yeah, yep,
Yes, I love
yep,
that because I watched that. It was very fascinating.
yes.
I got thoughts, but go ahead and finish.
Well, she also wrote a book. It's called Another Move God. When they joined the military, she was not a practicing religious, observant person. And they really struggled for the first bit of their marriage. And finally, at some point, a friend's like, "Hey, come to Bible study with me." And she was doing Bible study, and they start covering Abraham and Sarah. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, Sarah was a military spouse. God was in charge of their PCSs, but Abraham went on a deployment to go rescue Lot. He had to deal with, they're a military family." And she never stopped to look at all the people in the Bible who were military families, who were military spouses. And all of a sudden, she felt really seen by God. You want mama? But mama's hanging out with some friends. You ran away from Dada, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. You want me?
Bubba
Okay, but
cuteness.
I think Dada's coming to get you.
Uh-oh. Run away.
I know, but it's time to go to Dada. Here, you can have some popcorn, and then you go to Dada. Do you want popcorn? Sorry, again, negotiating with a toddler.
Well, that's okay. Wes talked about Camp Lejeune. I've seen those commercials on TV all the time. Yeah, about all the groundwater stuff up there. It's always been a track record of so many of these things that have happened. You had, I think, Napalm, Agent Orange, things like that in the '70s too. It's
Oh,
always
yeah.
been a struggle for veterans to get treatment, and for yeah, always anytime you get attorneys involved, nobody wants to admit liability or that something happened. Instead of just being honest and taking responsibility, it all gets, and especially you would think in these cases that they would, people put their lives on the line, they give their life for the country, and the last thing
Yeah.
have to do is have to fight your country to get them to cover something,
Yeah.
and not fight a
Well,
bunch of attorneys.
it's nowhere near like it was post-Vietnam. We don't have anything like they did in the Vietnam when the Vietnam veterans were coming back and trying to navigate life.
Hmm.
But you would be surprised at the amount of hostility and vitriol that active duty military families deal with by
Hmm.
certain segments of the American populace,
Hmm.
to the point where, and this is a story I've shared a couple times on different stuff, but um, we have blacklists. We have places that we're told by command not to go because it's not safe. And they will either try to take advantage of a military family or harm them. These are
Hmm.
inside the United States. These are
Still
businesses and locations. Yes.
to this day, wow,
And
that
there
is.
was an issue that McDonald's, I believe it was McDonald's, it might have been a Burger King. Please forgive me if I was wrong. But in the southern part of the United States, just recently got added to that blacklist for that area because 3 soldiers, service members in uniform, went there to the drive-through to get lunch, and they were told to go wait in the parking lot and their food would be brought to them. And they're like, "Okay, that's not uncommon, but it's a weird that they're only asking us to do that." That put them on
Hmm.
their guard, thankfully. Then they went and they finally got their food. It was a half hour to 45 minutes later, and a bunch of people had been served in between this. And they're like, "This is odd." They opened up their hamburgers before they ate them, and thank goodness they did. There was shards of glass in there.
Mm. Wow.
And that's just completely inappropriate. You should never treat any human being like that, but especially somebody who's put themselves in harm's way to make sure that you get to live in a free country.
Hmm.
That's just absolutely disgusting, in my opinion.
Uh, well, we think it's easy to look back to the 70s and think all that happened then, but it does now, especially the way our country's divided in some parts of the country. It's uh, uh you
Well,
would
and
think that
that's
we'd be beyond that by now.
I I would
Whether
hope,
you like,
but
yeah,
there's been times where people are like, "Oh, why do you guys deserve a discount? You're so spoiled. You're so privileged." And I'm sitting there going, "Yes, thankfully military families are better cared for now than they have been historically. I will grant
hmm
you that."
hmm
But are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? My husband has missed almost every single one of our son's birthdays. Somehow, he always manages to get sent away on some military assignment right around our son's birthday. And we don't know what it's like to have him home. He's missed Christmases, lots of Christmases.
hmm
He's missed all sorts of holidays. And that's not him just missing because he's on some trip for business. This is missing a couple times because he's being shot at. And I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, oh, no, no. There should be a
yeah,
certain level of recognition for that."
right. I think sometimes though it's the real good people don't really ask for it. They just, if it happens, it happens. But it's I think there's sometimes when especially in some industries like where they you got people fishing for every discount they get, and that could cause some uh jealousy. But still, the whole thing is it's
Part
just
of
it's the whole
and
thing
my
is though is it's the store's policy. You let them do it, you encourage it, and it's
well,
if it's no
this
sweat off your back, and just
but right
let
there,
the
what he
business
was
make the
saying,
decision. Yeah.
strings and pucks, what he's saying there straight up is the reason. Some of
Mm,
these families are begging and looking for every discount they can possibly because the average military family has 3 children,
yeah.
and the average military spouse is about
Well,
24 years old.
I
Many of them
yeah.
don't have anything but a high school education. They're underemployed. If 90% of all military spouses are underemployed,
hmm
our military service members are massively underemployed. And so, in this economy, if they are trying to raise a family of 3 or more, it is really hard, and so they need every single one of those discounts and benefits that they can find, any one of those free things. I have met so many military spouses who didn't know how they were gonna provide Christmas for their kids because they just were struggling, and thank goodness I work with a lot of really amazing
hmm
organizations that help provide Christmas to military families or help, um deployed soldiers get home to see their baby born or help provide doulas for military spouses whose husbands can't come home. A lot of people don't realize military husbands are only allowed or spouse, the service member is only guaranteed, quote unquote, and that's always a joke, to be able to come home for their first child's birth. After that, good luck. You're probably going to
Right.
miss it.
I wish Mrs. was still here though. I know she had to go to bed earlier because she always speaks with her mom. Um, Raised 5 kids with her dad deployed back in the
Mhm.
'60s and '70s, and it always made her mad that everybody looked at them as rich, especially when he retired. Like, oh, he's retired and all this because it hurt her in financial aid. Because people look at him like you're magically got all this money and all this stuff, and then with dad gone, it's like the mom there with 5 feed 5 kids. And Mrs. relates the stories that it was the courtesy and kindness of a neighbor who worked at like an oversell store that brought over the expired goods and break, that stuff like that, that
Mhm.
allowed them to eat decently.
Oh,
And
yeah.
her mom was always trying to make a meal for 5 kids. Her mom would actually sometimes go without eating or eating less so that the kids could have enough and things like that. I mean, so we've got some experience with that, with my wife's family. So, and
Yeah.
unless you've experienced it, you don't know it.
And now I will admit there are some military families who are doing well, who probably don't need those services as much. We've reached a point in our family situation where we are doing well enough that we don't use a lot of those services because my husband's reached a rank and he's been in the service long enough. He's getting paid a decent amount of money. We're not wealthy, but we're comfortable. And so I volunteer with those organizations. I promote them on my on my podcast, and I encourage people to assist those organizations so that they can help the families that aren't in the position our family is now. Here's a really great one that I love. So I'm going to plug this now because they actually start looking for donations now so that they can help military families come Christmas. But FedEx Operation oh gosh, Trees for Troops.
Mhm.
FedEx does something called Trees for Troops. And what Trees for Troops does is they set up locations all over the United States where you can donate money or buy a tree so that a family, military family who couldn't afford to have a Christmas tree could get one for free. And they provide somewhere near, oh gosh, it's somewhere near like 15, 20,000, probably more like 10 to 15,000 trees every year for military families. And that sounds like a lot, but when you stop and think about how many military families there are, that's a drop in the bucket. And I will have to admit that there were many years where we would have not had a Christmas tree had it not been for Trees for Troops.
Mhm.
And so I'm so grateful for organizations like that who help families who can't go home for Christmas. They can't have their aunts and uncles and parents and cousins and everyone around them. They have to be all by themselves in another part of the country or another part of the world, have at least a little bit of Christmas joy for their kids.
Absolutely. So, and it's what's really good about your channel is helping give back, trying to reach out to do those in many, many ways and get those links to people so that they can have them. But like I said, and you're not just a one trick pony with this. You get in all these different issues, and like with the one that's
Hmm.
near and dear to our heart is the homeschooling. I've talked to you a little bit
Yep.
about that. My wife homeschooled both of our kids all throughout uh, for all the years. You know, and it was a rewarding thing. We When we got married, she knew she wanted homeschool, and that was it. But homeschooling is not for everybody, but it is an option that's out there. And I was really fascinated listening to your podcast the other day, that really gave that type of information to people because you were realistic with it. That it's not for everybody, but it is an option, and you might homeschool some and then bounce it around, or with one kid but not another. And I love seeing that kind of information getting out to people. So, your channel's not just if you're a veteran. A lot of stuff you have has other applications
Oh,
too.
yeah. I had a whole conversation with a military spouse who, they were stationed in Korea for several years. She gave birth in Korea. She raised her kids in Korea, even homeschooled for a little while, also sent them to a school there, and what it was like to live abroad with children. So if
Hmm.
you just like travel, if you like learning about, I had a F-14 Rio pilot. He talked about his experience on combat missions in Lebanon after the Marine base was attacked.
Hmm.
He was in a midair collision just off the coast of Puerto Rico in the middle of the night and had to ditch in the ocean and be rescued. Like all of these different experiences, whether you're military or not, they're amazing stories and
Hmm.
experiences that these people have had living in lots of different places, doing and seeing lots of different things.
Exactly. I really think it's interesting. And yeah, Figgy said about no way in hell she could have homeschool. Yes, she could have. I think anybody could do it, but no, I'm making a little laugh joke. But
Could and
I
should are 2 different things.
could and should, could and should. Yeah, go ahead.
I always wanted to be a homeschool mom, and then I met my kids is the running joke. I'm
Yeah,
still a very hands-on involved parent.
yeah,
I believe in education is not something that should end at the end of the school day.
right.
We read aloud. We do read aloud books and we do science studies. We do history
Hmm.
projects. We have the running joke is we have an entire World War II reference section in
Oh,
our
I love
house
that.
because my
Yes.
boys want those books.
Yep.
And so For me, education is not something that should be limited to school
Right.
and that teachers are the only ones who are involved in. Whether you're homeschooling or not,
Yeah.
education should be, and learning and growing and broadening our horizons should be something that everyone is involved in.
I do love the way
Um,
I do love the way you said it till I met my kids because and that
mhm.
does happen. But see, I do think sometimes people are quick to say I can't do it. Well, I can't do it. It depends. Like you said, you met the kids, you know the personality. That's one thing. But like you know, sometimes people say
It
I
takes a
can't. Some
village.
people say I can't teach science or whatever. Well, the thing is, there's so many resources now. Don't
Oh,
let
yeah.
the your lack of a subject matter keep you from
There's
doing it because there's so many support groups, online
mhm.
resources,
Mhm.
co-op classes,
Yep.
self studies,
Yep.
online virtual schools that can. I mean, there's so many tutors. There's so many ways that you can teach your kids. My thing is just don't let the fear of the subject matter stop you. Now,
Exactly.
if you can't because either your kid doesn't study that way or you can, you know, those are fair. Those are reasonable things. But my thing is to try to not let the fear of the topic keep you from doing that.
Oh my
So
gosh, West, what he just put about yeah,
no, I
that's
would
the
have gone
biggest
drink.
fear.
I would have probably taken up drinking if he was my son. But anyway, but then again, that's okay. Yeah, he
But
needed the
y
nurses. And Finity said, as a civilian, I found studying military fascinating. I agree. I think that the
mhm.
lack of military, and specifically studying of our real history in our
Oh,
schools
yeah.
has really pulled. It has more applications. Everybody focuses on dates, this and another, but there's concepts, there's principles. I
There
will tell you,
is.
I will argue to you, and not to start a big debate on this U.S. Civil War. I will argue that that many of the issues that the underlying tones of issues they may not be the same exact ones then that exist now, but the same attitudes we
Okay,
had in the 1860s exist today between like North and South, Florida and California. There's a
okay.
lot of similar issues.
There is a book I'm gonna plug right now. So, my whole thing is I'm a huge reader.
Mhm,
My goal this year is to read 100 books this year. I read 75 last year.
mhm,
I don't know if I'll make it to the 100, but Soul of Civility is a book I would recommend for absolutely anyone listening right now. And it addresses that exact concern. And it goes through civility and accounts and writings and perspectives on civility for thousands of years in writing and historical records. And that the experience we are running into in our country right now is not unprecedented, and civilizations and societies, countries have overcome this level of conflict before. And part of it is by returning to civility, is that fact that we can agree to disagree and we can do that appropriately and politely. I don't have to agree with you on everything, but I can still be your friend and be kind and listen and be
mhm,
civil. And that is so important to our society, teaching our children that it's okay to be different and to think different and to view the world differently, but that doesn't make you better or less than anyone else. It just
mhm,
makes you an individual, and that we need to be respectful and polite. Now, there are certain lines. I mean, we have legalness for a reason. There are definitely laws, and breaking laws is bad. But in all, I love sitting down and talking to my friends and family members with different political perspectives
mhm,
because oftentimes there are things I have not considered that they have,
mhm,
and I may not agree with their conclusions, but it's enlightening to speak to them on those subjects. And vice versa. I've had the opportunity to be able to articulate my perspective on certain things that they hadn't considered. Specifically, taking it back to the being a military family. So
mhm,
many people don't understand the nuance of what goes into keeping our military functioning and running and what the issues we've had with maintaining our military effectiveness. And so I can talk to those sorts of things in a way, in a perspective that they may not have considered as a non military family. And they may know things like, for example, I have a family member who has worked in the Department of Transportation for most of their career, at least 20 years now. And so they know a lot that goes into the bureaucracy of keeping our roadways and our infrastructure functioning that I don't always know or consider. And that's the problem I feel we have with a lot of our politicians. Instead of having a knowledge base that is an inch wide and a mile deep, they have a knowledge base and life experience base that is a mile wide but an inch deep. And the
Hmm.
problem with that in the long run is that they are not capable of seeing the side effects and downward um, cascade of circumstances that will come from policies that they try to
Hmm.
enact. So that's why I feel like the more that we can civilly and politely communicate with each other on a wide
Hmm.
variety of topics, the better off we're going to be as a nation.
Right. Well,
And we have, keep going. Go, go, go.
well,
Sorry.
no,
Monologue
no, no,
over.
no, I know, no, you because it's fascinating. You're exactly right. Because I got a friend from another country, and one of the things that they keep saying is, "You guys don't know your own history." You see,
Mm-hmm.
they're about 15 years younger than me. I think they're smarter beyond their age. But like when they talk to more American, and especially American guys, they're like they don't know. Like when I know about the history of the riots of the '70s,
Mm-hmm.
or the political geopolitical things in the Cold War and stuff, most Americans they talk to don't understand. They actually have more of an understanding of those time periods than these other Americans that are younger than me. And they're like, how do
Mm-hmm.
you guys not know your own history? You know,
It was not properly
it,
taught.
and it's not,
I,
it's so skimmed over. I was so pissed off. I threw my test at a substitute teacher because we had World War II. We got in there because the lazy ass teacher we had anyway didn't print the test. So we had to write down the question. And I was a slow writer. She said, write your question, write your choice, write it all out. And I'm like, this is horrible. The one subject I should ace. And it was horrible for me that test that day. And I'm like, so I just tossed it at her, and she's like, "I'm going to remember you," and I never had her again. But because that's a joke of how little they did. It was like in the last 2 weeks of school, you just, but they mix the humanities into the history classes, like the arts
mm-hmm.
or whatever. But that's more of an art class, than
Yeah.
history, because some of this stuff really went with it. Because you can tie the art of the 1860s in with the chaos of the time period. Because I had a class in
Oh,
college,
yeah.
art of rev, the age of the art of was it art of revolution or age of revolution?
Uh-huh.
But it was
Mm-hmm.
focused on the art, music, and all that at the time. But you could see the turmoil in it, but it tied to the events of that time. Those
Yes.
events did not happen in isolation. It
Exactly.
reflected through the culture, through the societies, and even in our
Yes.
history in the last 100 years. There's so much that our young people should learn from World War I, World War II, even in Korea and Vietnam, lessons that apply to the future. And
Oh,
but do we
yeah.
know anything about it?
So many
No, we don't.
Americans so many Americans think we lost the Vietnam War.
Hmm.
We did not lose the Vietnam War militarily. We lost the Vietnam War politically. We were right there. We could have taken the capital, and we were told to evacuate. And to me, as a military family, I completely think that was the wrong call. But so many people, they have seen the lens of the Vietnam War based on what they were taught in school,
Right.
not on the actual facts of the Vietnam
And the
War.
media, and the media reports too. I have an uncle that was in the Coast Guard. By the way, folks, do not forget the U.S. Coast Guard.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
a
Coast Guard is awesome. Well,
I've got
then
we've got active.
Cape
My
May.
dad was in the Coast Guard. He went out there, played one time for football for a little bit, but Coast Guard. My uncle retired Coast Guard. We got a nephew in the Coast Guard, but everybody
Well,
forgets the
Coast
Coast
Guard
Guard.
training is in Cape May, and that's
No,
where I really first started learning a lot about the Coast Guard was
but
when I was
I wish I'd have talked to my uncle more about it. I should have, but my mom said though that my uncle was very adamant that they were there for the right reasons. But if you listen to everybody, most people tell you, well, we were there, we shouldn't have been there. But my uncle was there in the rivers on the boats, and he was like, he was there, and he felt like they were there for the right reason. But as the history books, the media, like you said, they're like, no. And hey, Tom F is here. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Tom's
No,
supposed to be with us
that's
tomorrow night too. So yeah, go ahead.
okay. No, but
Go
that's
ahead.
one thing that people don't see. People will look at stuff in history and military and things like that, black and white. History is not black and white. It's all different shades of gray. And even in you pick any point in history, any war that we've ever fought or anyone has ever fought, even all the way back to the Persians and the Medes and the Greeks, there was always ups and downs. There were always pros and cons. There were always people who were innocent victims of war. Things like that happen. War is a tragedy. A war is
Hmm.
always a tragedy. It's always better if we can avoid it, but it's not always possible because there will be people who just want to fight, who just want to do these things. And when that happens, good people need to stand up and say no. And so it's never a black and white. It's never an easy thing. And it's not like I want my husband and I will say this straight up to anyone. I would love for our family to be put out of business. I would love for soldiers and service members and warriors to no longer and never be necessary ever again. But as long as there are evil men in this world, bound and determined to destroy the lives of innocent human beings, there has got to be someone who says, hell no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One other thing do want to talk about too, for people that have heard you. Uh, yeah, I know West. I know
I
West. Yeah,
know.
hard to tag on the phone. Yeah, hey, but glad you're here though. One of the things that I'm really enjoying hearing you talk about, and I look forward to hearing more in the future as you get them out, and you know, is your interviews with actual veterans recounting stories. Because
Yes.
see, there is a podcast, the Unauthorized History of the Pacific War. There's a
Mhm.
historian on it, Seth Paradon, and he worked in the World War II Museum. He, over the years, interviewed so many World War II veterans and the stories he's got. He talks about in the podcast what he did with families listening in the background, but they would talk with him individually, when they
Yep.
may not talk to their family members. I mean, I
Yep.
think you've experienced that too. But
Yes.
but it's amazing, these stories and these accounts. This is how we document the real stories that's not inside the history book. What drew you into
Yes.
that type of approach? Because I think it's a great approach that we so
So
desperately need in so many ways, because we've lost our World War II generation. I mean,
so
I do not
2
know if we really
things.
have any left at this point.
No, we've got some World War II veterans still out there. I have a whole family of World War II veterans. They're the Adams family, and I'm working with their other family members. The problem is when you get to the older the veteran is, the harder for them it is to operate the technology to do remote interviews.
Hmm.
And it looks like I might just have to travel out to them and do an in-person interview. But because of my family situation, I can't travel to every veteran I want to interview.
Right.
So I do most of them over Zoom or other platforms. And so if you do know of any veterans, here's my plug. If you know veterans, Gold Star families, military spouses, or anyone associated with the military community who would love to share their story or you would like to help preserve their story, please let me know. I work with the Library of Congress and I am working to get these stories into the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. But I also make sure the families themselves have a copy of the full interview. And then, if with their permission they're willing, I will put a excerpt of that interview on my podcast. Some aren't comfortable with that, some are. I'm working on Tom's dad's interview. I had the blessing of interviewing Tom F's father
Oh
about
wow.
his military experience in the Navy, and he
Was it?
was in
May I ask?
charge
Was
of
it
the
Korean, or was it which?
mm-mm. He actually was part of the blockade of Cuba during the Cuban
Oh,
Missile Crisis.
wow. See, that's things we all forget about, incidences like that stuff. But yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's interesting. That would be great to
So I'm
hear.
gonna be working on editing that interview down to a concise clip, and then oh, Tom, I keep forgetting this, but I need to get um a good way to send you. He said just send the copies to you and you would get them to the rest of the family. So Tom, your dad wants me to get you everything so you can get it to your family members. But that's what I do. I
Yeah.
want my mom was a single mom and I was partly raised by my great uncle who was a Navy veteran who served in both Vietnam and Korea. And he never really talked about it. I knew little bits and pieces, but I heard more stories from my aunt, his wife, than I ever did from him. And he passed away when but he was like a father to me. I loved him so much. And he passed away when I was about 14, 13, 14, around there. And it was tragic for me to lose him. And
Hmm.
I was really wished I had known more of his story. I wish I had asked him more. I would recorded anything. And then I married my husband, and 3 of his 4 grandparents served in World War II.
Hmm.
And they had recorded some of their stories and preserved those things. And I find that there is a huge power in knowing your family's stories, not just the military, but everyone's story. Family history is powerful. And so as I went through my journey of being a military spouse, there was one point where I felt very discouraged and alone. My husband was gone. I was expecting our second child. I had a baby, and it was very much a woe is me moment. And my mother found a journal from my 5 times great grandmother, and her husband was drafted into the army for the Mexican American War. And they
Hmm.
were in the process of traveling cross country to move west. And so she got stuck living in this little place in the middle of nowhere with several children, expecting another children. And back then, if you were put in as enlisted, you weren't paid until the end of the war. You weren't given, they didn't, this was before the Civil War. They didn't send money to your families. You didn't get a paycheck always right away. So she was by herself having to weave fabric to sell to the Native Americans in the area, and they helped her and took care of her and her kids, and she gave birth without her husband. And reading this account gave me so much courage and gave me so much inspiration to be like, you know what? She did it. I can do it. I have a roof over my head. I have medical care. I have doctors. I have a paycheck coming in so I can pay and buy food to feed my kid. You know what? I will be okay. And it's those sorts of stories that have the power and the strength to move us to accomplish great things in our lives, is when we see these amazing stories of those who came before us. And it was all of the wonderful veterans I have known who've blessed our lives, and reading these journal entries. I don't want anyone's story to be forgotten. Every person has a story that is worth telling and worth recording. Everybody's life matters and has value and importance. Whether you're in the military or not, your life means something. And it is important to record those stories, those life lessons, those journeys, so that those who come after us, whether they're our children or others, can learn and gain strength from them. And it's not because they're all perfect. A lot of them are hardships. I don't look at my ancestors and think, wow, their lives were so fabulous. They were fabulous. No, it's, oh my gosh, they had it so rough and they did it. You know what? I can too. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's, wow, they made a really crappy choice. How about I don't do that?
Yep. Yep. So I got you. I got you with that. Let's see. Yeah, Wes says, "Yep, you can always get the fortitude to go on when you hear stories of those who are or were struggling more than you." Absolutely, and he, of course, put your link back out here with that. Well, let's change it up a little. Oh God,
Okay.
93 minutes we've gone in through here, and we're still going, and we can come back to this more as you want to. Just make sure we covered everything you want to
Oh,
about
yeah.
that. We're going to do kind of quote the lightning round, which sometimes bogs down
Sweet.
into like the tracks of the tank come off, or uh
Side
like
quest?
well, or like you said, some of the tanks on Iwo Jima with the black ash sand that
Mhm.
like you just kind of stick, but it happens. All right, well,
Speaking
let's
of Iwo
see.
Jima, here's a side quest.
Really.
My husband's grandfather was a Marine in the Pacific, and
Hmm.
he got injured just before Iwo Jima,
Oh
and he
wow.
was stuck on boat watching his entire platoon try to go to shore, and all of them die. And
Wow.
he never, ever recovered from the survivor's guilt. Not really.
Was he in the
That
third
crushed
division?
him.
Was he the first, second, or third Marine Division?
I can't remember which one. Not off the
Oh
top
my
of my
god,
head. I'd have to look at the
I've heard
records.
about accounts like that, especially on the beach landings, because they that particular battle they were actually playing. The, one of the things I've learned from the podcast said they invaded about 6 months earlier. The island was not defended very well, but in the
Mhm.
meantime, they built under and into Suribachi and into the island, and
Yep.
basically, the thing was, before that, some of the other islands, it's like fight on the beach. Well, the commander there
Yep.
did not agree with that. He's like, let them land and then open hell on them. And that account I've heard many times of that about people watching in the whole and the original, just the bloodbath at the original landings, and just
Oh, yeah.
I and
The
those are the stories that people don't realize that stick with and
the
haunt people the rest of their lives.
the video footage of that, the Marines putting the flag up on Iwo Jima.
Mm-hmm.
It was Iwo Jima, right? I'm not getting my history
Iwo
wrong.
Jima,
I
yeah,
swear
Mount
some
Suribachi,
Yep.
yeah, they did it
Yes.
twice actually.
Yes. But the
Yeah,
footage of it happening, that not the picture, the footage, the
yeah,
film that was taken,
mm-hmm.
the military photographer or videographer who took that, he was a service member.
Right.
That was the last film footage he ever took before he was killed and they never found his body.
Mm, yeah. It a lot of stories, a lot of
Yep.
accounts there. So, hey, Figgy,
Oh, the
thank
Pacific
you
was
for being here
insane.
tonight. We appreciate it. Yes, take
Bye,
care.
Figgy.
Yeah, we're gonna get you on with all these ladies, and we're gonna have a chorus or something fun and
We should have
artistic.
a
So,
girls' night, a ladies' night where we all talk
I
shop.
will do that. I have been saying, I need to get off my ass and actually host a real ladies' night where I sit back and shut up and let the ladies talk. You know.
Dude, I'm game. I mean,
All
we
right.
like hearing from you, but it'd be fun to have a ladies' night.
No, I tell you, well, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm just here to facilitate. So, but you rest well, Figgy. So, and Sashi has been reminding people about Pacific campaign of World War II. He's
Yep.
had a lot, yeah, a lot of focus is on Europe still. Russia, Germany, UK. The Pacific to me has always been an under talked about theater, and Sashi, and we're not going to go into all the details about the what the Japanese did, and just there were special
Well,
design units with things and stuff that were
yes.
very barbaric, but yeah, it happens. But even yeah, yeah. So yeah, the harem stream, yes. But yeah, I mean, but like you said, those accounts that people have like that. I remember my
Yeah.
granddad talking about uh an account where he did with they had to put fuel in the rivers and the creeks and just light it up, and
Mhm.
things like that to survive. And if you know anything about Guadalcanal,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Navy had to pull away to protect the carriers. The fleet was out. I mean, they were basically left on an island to survive on their own
Yep.
for a while, and
Oh, yeah. Well,
it was so nip and tuck, and
my my great-grandparents, my great-grandfather, two of his best friends from high school had joined the military and were stationed in the Philippines prior to World War II's breakout, and they were actually his 3 best friends, and they were taken prisoner by the Japanese and part of the Bataan Death March. One
mm-hmm,
of them died in the prison camp. 2 of them made it
right,
back. One ended up ending himself because he couldn't live with the nightmares from what he had experienced, and the other
right,
one went crazy and no one ever he just disappeared. No, we don't know what happened to him.
right.
And, like, my grandmother tells stories about because they called him uncle, and how he was this great, sweet, wonderful guy, but the PTSD was bad. It was so bad, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand PTSD back then like they do now.
No, no, they did. They didn't, and they I think it really called it shell shock back then. And
Mhm. Yep.
most of the times, it didn't involve any actual direct combat. It was all the other stuff that you saw around it. So
Well,
it's
and then the average human beings in general aren't meant to cause harm to fellow human beings. It really does impact and hurt your soul. It's a
mhm,
hard thing. And so the PTSD comes from that, but also survivor's guilt. There's so many different layers to it. And until it doesn't matter how much training a service member has, until they actually are in the heat of combat, you don't really know how they're going to respond. And that's why
Hmm.
you get these stories of people going left, right, and center in the history books, the people committing these horrible atrocities,
Hmm.
because their soul breaks. They've seen so much disgusting, horrible, just nastiness from humankind that they snap on some level and they do things they would not have done otherwise. And I'm not excusing those acts at all, but it's understanding the human psyche. There's other people who they seem like they would be a great, fabulous soldier, but they would get shot for cowardice because they get out there and they're traumatized by what they're surrounded by. They weren't
Hmm.
really ready for it. And that's a different level of PTSD. And so
Exactly.
there's so many different ways that the human psyche can and does respond to this level of trauma that it's important to understand that it's not one size fits all. And that's why sometimes for people talking through these things is incredibly therapeutic. So in the Navajo
Hmm.
culture, because I'm in Arizona and I'm going to plug the Navajo code talkers,
Right.
grew up
Yep.
learning about the Navajo code talkers in the Pacific and very fond. If I oh my gosh, if anybody is listening and you have a Navajo code talker in your family, and I would love, love, love to interview a Navajo code talker. It would be a dream of my lifetime. I've wanted to talk to one of them ever since first learned about them when I was like 12. But
Hmm.
the Navajo code talkers and the Navajo culture, they're very much a warrior culture, but the warrior ethos was that you don't talk about war when you come home.
Right.
And these code talkers, they went out and they saw just insane things, and they came back to their culture, their tribe, and they were told basically don't talk about it. And that was so hard for them. And it wasn't until the 90s and 2000s where people started interviewing them, wanting to preserve their stories. Um, they actually
And
did a
even
full
movies were made.
documentary.
Even some of the movies were made. Well, Nick Cage had one, I think. Was it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And
Yeah.
that they started telling their stories and they started realizing how therapeutic it was, how healing it was. And I'm just so grateful that they have, that there are
Hmm.
documentaries, that there are people who've talked to them. So, yeah,
Hmm.
anyone knows a
Yeah.
Navajo code talker, I would love to speak to them.
Yes, and West, I am very familiar with the Battle of Savo Island. It was a
Yep.
That was one of the largest U.S. Navy defeats in history.
Mhm. It
They got
was.
bloody so bad, but of course, getting into all the geek stuff with it, with the Japanese then withdrew. They didn't go after the rest of the American transports and stuff. They just kind of pulled
Yeah.
out for for whatever according to their battle doctrine. That's the other thing is too. We look back sometimes and why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? But so much as I'm learning is it's your battle doctrine. How do you do? Whether it's right or wrong,
Mhm.
that's kind of what happens.
Well,
So,
and that's part of the reason why the American
and
military has done so well against the Germans in some ways. The US military battle doctrine and a lot of our drill and ceremony and those sorts of things was actually shaped by Hessians, German soldiers during the Revolutionary War.
mhm.
Um, Bismarck and wait, am I getting the right name? Is it Bismarck? Someone's gonna rip me in the comments. It's getting late, and I'm might be pulling out the wrong names, but George Washington had the assistance of Hessian soldiers to help train and drill the his service members because and they were much better at it than we were. And my great again lots of greats grandfather was part of George Washington's army at Valley Forge and actually did get drilled by these Hessian soldiers that had joined our side. And so because of that, we have a comprehension of German battle tactics more so than the
Mhm.
average English, even though they have fought them more and are on the same continent,
Right, and I
more or
think the
less.
Hessians actually fought too with the English also. So
Yeah,
that's
they did,
interesting.
but they
Yeah.
didn't integrate. They did not integrate with the British. They were
Hmm.
segregated. The
Right.
British officers did not want to integrate with them, and so they didn't use their battle doctrines and battle tactics. Whereas they
Ah. Yeah.
integrated with the Revolutionary Army and actually instructed, trained, and wrote a lot of
Hmm.
our military doctrines. And so people look at for like the Battle of Britain, they wonder why did it happen the way it did? Well, the British were counting their units differently. They had more units with smaller amounts of planes, but the Germans had larger amounts of planes in each unit. And so it or vice versa. I might be getting again, I'm tired. If anybody out
Yeah.
there, if I'm making mistakes, give me some grace. It's late. But
By the
anyway,
way,
because of that, when they were guesstimating the strength of the opposite sides, they were coming to the wrong numbers because of the way their military unit structure was designed.
okay. Well, by the way,
Sorry.
do you realize we just took another 20-minute detour from our
Yes, we did. I'm so
dinner?
sorry.
No,
Okay.
it's not your fault. It's my
Rapid
fault
fire.
too. Well, hold on. We got to get to Wes, and that's true. Everybody handles the chaos of battle differently. Some, the generals like Patton treated it very poorly. They didn't deal with it with others. Strings and Pikes. This was always a common thing when Saving Private Ryan came out. Just the
Oh,
realism that
yeah.
was in there. And Wes thinks that you might be talking about Frederick the Great. Frederick II. Bismarck
Yeah.
was in the late 1800s.
Yeah. That might be. I don't know. I'm
Yeah. That's the such as the Fat Electrician did a video on the 77th Infantry Division. Yeah,
Yep.
I got to look at that one unit with the atrocities because that
I
would be something to
recently
study
ran
too.
into the fat electrician. He's entertaining.
Well, there you go. That's cool. Not as entertaining as me, folks, because I want y'all to subscribe here. I'm just kidding. That's cool. It's all about me, me. Hey, hold on
Oh,
one
we
second.
prop everyone up. It's a team thing. We all encourage each other and we all
I
support
know,
each other and
I know. You're being so gracious and
rising
nice.
tide lifts
Yeah.
all boats.
Say, Sashi said, no need to apologize for detours. The streams are always get derailed. Yes, they
Yep.
do. They do. Well, okay, we'll do the lightning round real quick, so we can get this
Okay.
in. All right. All right. Number one, what's your favorite food?
Oh, pizza or lasagna. I'm Italian. It's got to be an Italian dish, whatever it is. Even if I
Okay.
can't eat it anymore because of health issues, it's still Italian.
And you said pineapple is acceptable on pizza, correct?
Yes, and my bisnonna, that means Italian grandmother in Italian, is rolling over in her grave as I say that.
I understand. Your favorite beverage?
um, it, that's really hard. I'm gonna just say herb tea. I reach for herb tea a lot. I love peppermint tea.
Okay. Herb tea. Okay, cool. Favorite hobby? Not that's not gaming.
Oh, my husband's the gamer. I am the supportive gamer, not the gamer.
Well, then what's your
Um,
yeah? That makes
Reading.
it
If
easier.
you have to pick a
Reading.
hobby, reading. I love to read. I'm a
What?
total book nerd. We have more bookcases in our house than there are people.
Yeah, I thought
I
Wes
do
Cagle
love
was saying.
camping.
I thought Wes Cagle was saying his favorite hobby was vodka, but I think he said beverage. He's
Yep.
with you on the camping, but
I
okay.
love camping, but reading probably because I can't camp every day, but I can read every day.
Yeah. What's your favorite color?
Okay, this is going to be pretentious, but indigo.
Wait, what's indigo? God.
It's a bluish purple because my
Bluish
favorite
purple.
colors are
Okay.
blue and purple, but I could never make up my mind, so I picked one that's both.
Well, you are so indecisive. That's crazy. Let's see. It's kind of,
Hey, I used to be indecisive, now I'm just not sure.
okay. Let's see what it looks like now. Blend of blue and violet. There's also an airline called Indigo. Indigo.
Yes, yes, there is. I honestly, if I had to pick a color scheme, it'd be peacock because I love purple, blue, and green.
Well, there you go. Well, blue, no yellow. There's a little mighty python throw. Get you and
Yep.
Erica together. Get you and Erica together to try to decorate something. I'm not sure it's going to be fascinating with her
Well,
and her
she's
Halloweens.
she's talented. I'm a Christmas girly. You give me Christmas or fall. Those are my. I'm not so much a Halloween girly. I'm not a
All
huge
right.
fan.
Well, we do Christmas streams also. So anyway, what's your favorite movie?
Oh, that's hard. You're gonna have to give me a genre. Pick a genre, and I'll pick a favorite movie out of that genre. But
You can't just pick a movie from any genre.
no, because this is okay. I'm. I mean, I like rom-coms. I like war movies. I like action movies. I like
Okay,
superhero movies. I like
okay,
historical fiction.
okay.
I can't.
How about rom coms?
Okay, I have to say one of my favorite rom-coms is Letters to Juliet, and a lot of people won't know that one because it didn't do very well.
It's a scary title just for me, but
It takes place in Italy,
okay.
and it's a really cute story about this old woman who comes back to Italy with her grandson, trying to find the man that she had fallen in love with when she was 17 and then didn't marry and went back to England.
Uh,
And this American reporter is trying to help her find him. And it's just super cute.
oh, cool. Okay, how about war movie?
War movie. Okay, it's not quite war, it's military, but it's Hunt for the Red October.
Okay,
And again, might seem like a strange pick, but this one, they all of these are tie in for personal reasons. The first one, Letters to Juliet, ties in for a personal reason I'm not gonna go into too much, except for the Italian part,
right.
because it plays into my husband and I's dating experience. But,
Hmm.
Hunt for Red October, my grandfather actually worked for the United States government as an engineer, and when that book came out, he called my mother and he said, "You need to read this book. I can really relate to it, wink, wink." And that's all we
Wow.
know because most of his, actually his entire government, like, background is we've never been told. He died before a lot of
Right.
the things he worked on were declassified. And so all I know is that he felt a connection to that story. And so I never got to meet him. He passed away just before I was born. And so every time I watch that movie, I feel
Hmm.
like I have a connection to him.
Yeah, I've heard about that. We've got some speculations in some family that like they didn't say what they did; they just kind of came and went quietly. Yeah, the 77th Infantry was on Okinawa. Desmond Doss was attached to.
Oh,
That was.
oh my gosh, Desmond Doss. Yes. So we have a whole book about Medal of Honor winners,
Mhm.
and I ran across the story of Desmond Doss. His story is so compelling.
Mhm.
Um, and I was showing my son his entry in that book. But yeah, Desmond Dawes was an absolutely powerhouse of a human being, and he shows that you don't have to take lives to save them, even in the middle of a war. He is literally one of the most, like, just examples of Christ-like love in the
Mhm.
midst of chaos that you could ever find. So, yes, Desmond Dawes is amazing.
Cagle said maybe Patton as a. He says also rom com Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Look it up, great film. You have a rom
Okay.
com movie at Cagle? Wow, I'm
Hey,
shocked.
rom-coms are not just for girlies. My husband even has a favorite
Mm,
rom-com.
uh,
We have different favorite rom-coms, but
I don't know.
he'll
I have
watch
to.
the rom-coms with me and I watch the action movies with
Well,
him.
I will
So,
be honest. It's usually when the missus picks her Korean and Asian movies that it's a lot better though than that. But Sashi owns a copy of the 100 right October Laserdisc. Now, Alec Ball was the
mhm.
only Jack Ryan. I'll agree with that. So
He
yes,
was a
Hunt for
great
October.
Jack Ryan.
He was a great Jack Ryan, but please do not make him Jimmy Doolittle.
Oh,
I'm
heck no.
sorry. I'm that in Pearl Harbor where they had him as Jimmy Doolittle. I was like, why?
Mhm.
That's why when they did Midway a couple years ago, I liked Alan Eckert as Jimmy Doolittle. The presence,
Yeah.
it's just a presence.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
we
You have to have a certain level of, like, there's just not anyone. Okay, Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Desmond Dawes in
yeah,
Hacksaw Ridge. Still not seen the whole movie because there's scenes I had to skip because they were just too intense for me. I
right.
know I'm a military spouse and I had to skip some war scenes.
That's
But
okay. Yeah.
Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Desmond Dawes was epic. And I would
Hmm.
have never pegged Spider-Man for being able to play that part, but he
Right.
did. So,
He did really did well in that. Let's see. Favorite sport?
swimming, soccer, or gymnastics? No, I can't pick.
Okay, well, but at least you have some. Uh, favorite
Well,
dessert or
okay,
candy? What?
I
Oh,
love soccer, and that's how my husband and I met was playing soccer after school in junior high.
all right,
Swimming I've done my whole life, and my mom and I would swim together frequently before she passed.
right.
And then gymnastics, I grew up watching gymnastics on the Olympics and ice
Hmm.
skating with my aunt, who I'm very close to. She's like a second mom to me.
That is
And
sweet.
So that's why. All of these answers are gonna have sentimental reasons
Okay,
because I'm
that's
really
cool.
just a big softie.
All right. I know. Hey, that's all fine. So, what's your favorite video game?
Okay, again, this is a toss-up between 2 things. Mario Kart, because that's what I played with my cousins and
Mm-hmm.
my brothers and stuff growing up, my family growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is gonna sound really funny, but NOTD, Night of the Dead. It's a spin-off Steam game in the
Mm-hmm.
arcade for StarCraft,
Okay.
and I'm not a huge gamer. I don't like video games or computer games or anything like that, or Valheim, that's another one. But when my husband got deployed the first time, and then when he got his hardship tour as well, he actually was
Mm-hmm.
able to get pretty decent internet.
Oh,
And
cool.
just before that, we had gone to hang out with his brother and his wife, who were both in the service, and they would all play together. And so I was like, I felt left out. So I started playing with them.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister in law would always be the medic so she could keep me alive because she's a sweetheart like that. And she's a total kick butt Air Force vet, but
Nice.
she's also just a sweetheart. But so we would have double dates cross country gaming together.
Oh,
And so
cool.
that's why I love that one. And then one of the most endearing, loving things, my brother-in-law is not the kind of person who is sentimental or expresses like
Yeah.
says I love you or anything like that. He's just
Yeah.
not very like that. We were gaming and he would always go and run and get the best gear and then bring it to me because I'm pathetic at gaming. I'll game,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm pathetic, and I'll admit it. And so
Ah,
he'd always run and get the best gear and then bring it to me, and I'd be using it. Well,
yeah.
another guy that we were playing with that we didn't know got ticked off that this noob had the gear he wanted. And so we were on the same team as this guy, but he caps me anyway. And
Jeez.
I'm waiting to respawn, and my brother in law gets pissed.
Oh, yeah.
And so he takes out that guy, and the guy starts screaming in the chat, "Hey, what are you doing?" And every time the guy respawns, he kills him, and he has me take the
Ah,
gear, and he just keeps killing the guy and killing the guy
yeah.
and killing the guy and killing the guy until finally he goes like, "What the crap is your problem?" He's like, "Don't mess with my sister-in-law."
There you
And I'm
go.
like,
I love
"That's
it.
love."
I know. Well, like I tell you, I do 4 nights on Monday with Jess, and she's like always give me the best weapons, better weapons. I'm like, sometimes take one for yourself. She's like, she just give me all the best weapons. So it's like really, it's really cool when you have that and somebody looking out for you. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Pearl
Tora,
Harbor is meh.
yeah,
Tora
yeah,
Tora is pretty good.
yeah.
Um, what was the
Now,
one I saw?
let's finish. Let's finish here, and we'll
Okay,
come
keep
come
going.
back because I do have a question with 2 movies: American
Alright.
Football, old school Pac-Man, or Night Trap for Sega CD, just for
Oh,
the
Pac-Man
entertainment.
was good too.
Yeah,
If you did
uh,
arcade games, I'd be different because
yeah. I love
I was a
arcade.
total arcade rat.
Well, that's a video game because the arcade games now are on all the other systems. What
I just
arcade
don't
games
think
did
of
you
the
like?
arcade. See, that's the thing. I was never a
Um,
gamer, but I was an arcade rat.
oh, I agree. Pac-Man. Actually, I prefer Miss Pac-Man over Pac-Man.
Mhm.
Never could do Donkey Kong right well in that. So, yeah, Sashi said could name 2 other Medal of Honor guys: Roy Benavides and
Yep.
Daniel Daly. Daly got 2
Yep.
Medal of Honor nominated for a third. Just some of those
Yep.
stories, those guys,
I
it's just
know.
amazing.
It's
Um,
mind-blowing what they accomplished.
I mean, the stuff I hear about, and it's crazy. I imagine the ones that did survive too. Okay, PC or console? Which do you play on when you do play games?
So, typically, we do PCs now. My
Uh huh.
husband is in IT, and the game we've been playing a lot as a family is Valheim because my kids are able to play that. And
Mm,
I am the nanny. I'm the camp mom. I build the home base. I'll make the food. I'll do all that stuff. But they go out on raids and kill the bosses.
right.
I don't do that stuff.
Okay.
So
How did you come
PC
up with your?
typically.
Gotcha. Okay,
Hmm?
PC. How did you come up with your streaming avatar?
Okay. So my streaming avatar was actually designed for me by my niece, who is a graphic designer.
Cool. Yay. It's very nice. It's very, very nice. Unfortunately, yeah, I like it right there. I tried to get as much of it as I could in our thumbnails and stuff. But yeah, it's very lovely how she did that. And how long have you been streaming?
So I have been on YouTube for less than a year.
Hmm.
I'm struggling with the switch over to YouTube. It's a learning curve, and I'm maybe not as successful on YouTube as I wish. Like I said, 90% of my listeners are on Spotify, Audible, and iHeartRadio or Apple Podcast
Hmm.
because my podcast is also found on all of those platforms, as well as a few others. Ironically, I'm on an Indian platform, like in India. So,
Oh wow. Okay.
um, yeah, I've got listeners internationally because military spouses are international.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. What is the craziest or funniest memory you have from a stream that you were on? I mean, or that you
I've
hosted, but probably in your case would be one that you were on.
I've actually not been on many streams. It's only
Okay.
been since Lorena. So Erica introduced me to Lorena,
Uh huh.
and then because of Lorena, I met you.
Hmm.
But uh, outside of you and Lorena, those are the only streams I've
Oh,
been
okay.
on. And honestly, I have to say that, like, when we did the couple Fridays ago or whatever, or
Right.
like, yeah, that probably was the most interesting one. We got on some real interesting topics, so that
Oh
one.
yeah, we do. You know, we always like to have fun, and sometimes it goes crazy. Like we've done "Where in the USA," and it's 40 minutes later we finally reveal the answer. So yeah,
Mhm.
and Tom met you also through Lorena and Erica
Yep,
also.
yep.
So all right,
Because
and
I found Pro,
mhm,
it's WDW Pro is how I ran into everyone, um, because I started listening to WDW Pro's channel not long after he started. But I was originally listening to his channel under my not
mhm,
broadcasting company, like under this. I created this whole thing because of WDW Pro. I realized that using my logo and my podcast name on YouTube would be a really good way to get publicity out there, because I'm a nonprofit. I'm not sure if everyone knows that. So I am a nonprofit completely. I am not monetized. I get no monetary compensation from what I do. I actually this costs me money. It's a very expensive hobby to do what I do, but I do it because I love it and I love the people I serve while doing this podcast. And
mhm,
so, because of that, any opportunity I have to be on another stream, talk on another channel, to get that information out there is helpful because I don't
mhm.
have money to pay for advertisement.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you tonight, and I always try to shout you out too, and love to have you on our crazy streams when we have them at random nights.
Hmm.
And tomorrow night we're planning one at 9 o'clock. I got a few people that will be there, so um, yeah, hopefully you can make it. We understand life happens because it's meant to be fun and laid back, and not stressful. That's why I got into streaming and stuff. It's just to have fun. Really, with football, when I get into that, it'll be a little more structured. But just lately, life is
Yeah.
required just to sit back and relax. Talking about sitting back and relax, what is your favorite theme park and uh, favorite ride at whatever theme park? I mean, the two don't have to be the same park, actually.
Okay. So I've always loved log rides. The log ride
Hmm.
attraction that most theme parks have. I
Right.
just love log rides. Maybe
Yeah.
it's the Arizona girl. I like getting wet. Who knows? But I've just enjoyed those ever since I was a kid. In Phoenix, we have a local, like, it's not big, it's small. It's pocket size for your convenience, but it's called Castles and Coasters.
Right.
And we could go there more frequently because it was where we lived. We didn't have to travel and it wasn't very expensive. And at one point, I had a friend whose dad was a security guard there. So he could get us in for relatively cheap, if not free. And I loved that little theme park. And
Yeah.
I loved I log ride. They also had Indy cars, which were really fun. Um,
Oh,
I
cool.
have quite a
Yeah.
few stories about going there with guy friends in high school and kicking their butts on the track because they didn't realize I frequented that place a lot and I had the track memorized.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. You can do that. I know I had a brother-in-law that had Splash Mountain memorized where he could do the picture
Mhm.
perfectly. I finally learned how to do it too, but yeah, it's interesting. So that's your
Yeah.
favorite park, favorite ride. Yeah, and that's cool. I like that question because everybody goes to Disney or Universal and all, and I'm like, it's really cool when you hear about um, you know, people
Well,
liking other things that are not
I've
the
I
big.
liked I've been to SeaWorld, I've been to Disney, I wanna go to Universal, I've been to some other places, and they're all great and wonderful for different reasons. But
Mm-hmm.
again, most of my answers are gonna be sentimental in some way, so
Yeah, I got you. All right. Well, that works. All right. Well, that's all of the questions. Actually, some of those are questions I forgot from earlier, but that's probably one of the faster fat lightning rounds we've done. Believe it
I
or
was
not.
trying not to squirrel on you.
Well, I squirreled too halfway through there too because it's that's why I do everything around here. We are actually over 2 hours. Can you believe that?
I know.
I love
No,
it
I'm a
though.
talker.
I am a too also. My wife's usually like, thank God. So she likes to come and hang on the stream sometimes, but she's like, you talk too much for me. So, all right. Well, we were going to hit one more thing real quick on military though, but West, definitely thanks for the military talk.
Yep, see you,
Hey, dude,
West.
we'll take care. Midway 76 or Midway 77 versus the Midway from 2010. Or no, not 2010, 2019. I think it was just before the vid. Have you watched both of them?
Okay, does one of those have, Mandy Moore in it
She might. I don't know. Let me check the
as one of
cast
the
though.
spouses?
I let's see. Let
Let
me
me
see.
double check because 'cause I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I put in a critic list. By the way, if you're looking for good reviews on movies, critic lists. Critic lists.
Uh
They
huh.
have the best. I'm on there. I run the parents group on that one so that you can get
Yeah, Mandy.
perspectives on.
Yes, she played Dick Best's wife.
Mhm.
I don't
So
even
the one with
recognize her
her,
anymore.
that's the one I
Yes.
love. That's the one I love because and I wrote a review on this on Critic List. I love
Hmm.
that one for several reasons. It is very true to military life. They hit what a military spouse, especially a leader, an officer's wife, what
Hmm.
she really would be going through and how she really would respond to stuff and the dynamics between the spouses and the way it's handled. They cover a lot of aspects of history that get overlooked frequently with
Hmm.
the attack on Pearl Harbor. They like the I really truly feel like that one, the
Yeah.
attention to detail was really really good, and the
Hmm.
fact that they really nailed military spouses. We support our husbands hardcore, but that doesn't mean we aren't terrified every
Oh
time
yeah,
they
she was
go.
terrified. Yeah, and
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
One of the other things that speak to this, the lieutenant on the Arizona, last name
Mhm,
escapes me, but his wife that
mhm.
survived was like, "I'm not
Yep,
going anywhere. I'll see you at the next funeral."
yep.
And the Bess is like, "Well, Beth's wife's like, no, you don't have to." She's like, "We're family." Yeah, I am. And
Oh,
is that a
because
lot
that
very common?
is.
Yeah.
No, it is, because that's I mean, Erica and I, we've never served near each other, our husbands never served near each other, but she is my sister. She is one of my military sisters because we have this shared bond of commitment, and there's been times where I've, you know, needed some input on something, and I've reached out to her because she has connections in the military community I don't, and vice versa. And I've done that with a lot of other military spouses. I've got sisters all over the world, and it really is a sisterhood. And that they show that the we put on such a face. So my husband's not been quite in a leadership position like her husband is. My husband's not an officer, but when they know something is going on, they know there's a mission, they know their husbands are in danger, they all get together so that the kids can play and kind of distract themselves. We do that. And
Mhm.
she walks in and she's got to be the leader because her husband's the leader. And so she walks in and she's encouraging
Mhm.
and comforting the wives and telling them everything's going to be fine. And then she says she has to go to the bathroom and she goes and she has a breakdown in private because
Mhm.
she feels like she has to be that anchor for those girls. And I've had those moments.
Mhm.
And so it's very relatable. I am sure cinematically or production wise or acting or something, people might like Midway from 76 better, and you go for it. You're allowed to like that one more. But
Mhm.
as a military spouse, that the one with Mandy Moore, the more recent one,
Mhm.
really resonated with me. I grew up with Mandy Moore. I grew up seeing her in all of these different movies like Walk to Remember or Princess Diaries or whatever. And when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure how I'm gonna be able to handle this because that's Mandy Moore." But
Right.
she nailed it. And that spoke to me as a military spouse because I feel like so often the
Yeah.
portrayals of military service members who are female or the military spouses are an afterthought in these productions, and they don't really resonate, they don't hit, they kind of
Mhm.
fudge them or they're very flat,
Mhm.
and that one didn't at all. And then her husband going back, him knowing he was putting his life at risk, but
No.
he wasn't about to give it up, he wasn't about to take the easy way out.
Right.
Or the soldier, they I don't know if that story, the pilot, the Rio, the gunner, the
Mhm.
one in back,
Right.
the
Yeah.
one that they catch and they're interrogating him and he's like, "Heck no, not gonna do it." He's like
Mhm.
and they throw him the Japanese throw him overboard. Again, I'm not sure if that's historically accurate,
There are
but they're really
reports. I think that there are reports of stuff like that have happened, and they
it
probably
I'm not saying
report
it
it.
didn't, but,
Yeah.
like, there I love what he says to that other pilot
Mhm.
because there really are people who are green and are scared, and they're like, "Why the crap do you like, why are you so gutsy and fearless?" That's the whole maverick personality.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, I will say
it
the one thing that I did not like between the two movies, I think the see the 76 fell flat, I think, on the quote relationship stuff when they stuck I call him Moses Chuck Heston in a fictional character with his
Mhm,
son with the Japanese girl, and that just kind of felt out of place and forced in that movie. But in this
mhm,
one, I agree with all you said, except for there are two things that I did not like, and it's more the way they portrayed specific individuals. The way
yeah,
they made Gaston, that Bradley Evans or whatever his name is, that Wade McCluskey did not have a mustache, and he was not
no,
like that from as I understand it. And Dick Best was not that, I say, call it, as one of these historians called it, Joyzy Cowboy. He was
yeah,
not that type of thing. And they did that stunt stuff about the fake landing, no prepare. I thought in that case they took too much license with the character. I,
they
I, I,
did.
that's the part from knowing about the individual in real life to what they gave and this friction between the two of them. I thought that they were a little bit heavy handed on that. But now,
That's
one of the
part
things,
of
go
okay,
ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
jumping in. That's part of the reason why in some of these historical fictions, I really wish that they would make the main characters more fictional and the secondary characters more historical. Because if you're gonna write a good movie, you've gotta have those points, you've gotta have those drama, the
Mm-hmm.
suspense, the plot, the character, the dynamics, and
Yeah.
it's hard to do that sometimes and keep it historically accurate because you're gonna portraying people accurately is not always easy and it's not always
Right.
thematic. Now, I'm gonna
Well,
say that's also lazy writing. Good
mhm.
writing can make anybody's story interesting.
Right.
So I'm
Don't give
contradicting
don't
myself in the same
but
voice.
don't give Wade McCluskey a mustache, especially that pencil mustache thing.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
know.
the real
That
McCluskey
mustache was
did not.
nasty.
It was driving me insane.
I hate facial hair. That's why
It's
I
like,
married a military guy.
well, it's also very not
Well,
military, especially I think for back then. Nobody wore facial hair.
well,
I
no,
mean,
mustaches were a thing.
there were
Mustaches are still
okay.
a
Well, I
thing.
saw Sophie. Well, Wade McCluskey didn't have it, so.
No,
But yeah, I don't that they force that drama between the two too many. Now, one thing that I do have a question about. Wait. Wes and I have disagreed on this. I thought that they did too much CGI with anti-aircraft from the Japanese shipping. I thought that there were too many planes up there, too many randomly getting hit. Now the losses were staggering. Don't get me wrong, but
Oh,
it just
yeah.
seemed like there was too much visual in there from what I see in the rare. We don't have much left from Midway. We have very little in the way of footage, uh,
Yeah.
and
They
the
Hollywood they
yeah, but yeah,
Hollywoodified it. They
yeah,
definitely Hollywoodified
that's
it.
what I thought with it. I did like it. But one thing that they did put in this, another thing they did that I liked too, was they had John Ford, the famous director, on the island
Oh,
getting wounded.
yes.
And he like
Yes.
keeps shooting, and that's historically accurate. That
Mhm.
it's like was really, really interesting. And you know, we had
Oh,
combat
yeah.
aircraft footage at
The
times and
running
stuff.
joke in the military community is that any military movie is gonna be more misses than hits, and
Right.
we just expect that. They Hollywood If Hollywood ever gets a military story bang on, I think we might all have a heart attack collectively.
Well, I
Because
actually heard a historian that wrote Shattered Sword, Jonathan Parshall, on one of the podcasts.
Mhm,
He said, because I think he was a quote consultant on that. Basically, I think he described it. He got to like the Japanese ship paint color or something, but
uh-huh.
he made the comment that you're just trying to do damage control. If you're one of the
Yep,
technical experts, you're
yep,
just trying to make sure we can get right where they do, and that they don't just go insanely crazy on something else. And
yep.
it's Oh,
I think
Sashi, by the way, says most of my interactions with ex-military guys are through my career. Currently, know a former helicopter mechanic and a former Air Force APC gunner,
well,
and in his
please let
family,
them
there's
know
most.
about my Sashi, let them know about my channel. Let them
Now,
know
would you talk to other
and
countries? Because I think Sashi is over in Malaysia. Would you talk to other militaries, or are you focused on the
yes.
U.S. military? Oh, you
Okay.
are.
So, I'm willing to talk to anyone. So, I'm a I'm a family history consultant. I believe that every story matters. I primarily focus on the United States military. However, I have had family members serve in other militaries, not recently, more in the distant past. But I've so often in the United States, we have a unique perspective on our military and a unique, by and large, support and respect. A lot of countries don't run into that. And their stories especially for wounded oh my gosh, wounded warriors in some countries, having a disability is a there's a stigmatism to it,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's hard for them because here they did something wonderful. They served and protected their families, but being disabled is stigmatized in their culture, and so it's also a mark of I don't know. I hate to say like dishonor or but it's a taboo almost.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's hard for those people. And I understand the sacrifices and appreciate what it takes for people to defend their families. So go ahead. I don't really care if you're from another military and you're not American military. I'd love to hear your story too. I like watching those documentaries
Mm-hmm.
where they show both the Japanese perspective and the American perspective, or
Mm-hmm.
like when they're showing the other sides. So, um, we know individuals who are part of my church, who served in the Japanese military. No, not the Japanese, sorry, the German military. But they didn't want to. They were forced into the military.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, my mom told me this story of someone she knew. He had been in Europe. And in our church, we believe in blessings and that you can pray over people who are injured and ask for God's intervention in their healing. And this German soldier had been taken prisoner. And he comes up to the Americans and he keeps repeating the word blessing, blessing, Mormon blessing, because I'm a Mormon. Yes, we covered that with the BYU. Um,
Yeah.
and one of the soldiers who ended up being a member of my mom's congregation and was telling her this story, he recognized and he's like, I am Mormon, Mormon. And the soldier is like begging him to follow him. He follows this guy. They find another German soldier who was also a member of our church who had been seriously wounded. And they had this blessing, this prayer for him for healing, and he recovered. And later they all kind of became friends, and what it turned out was they had been forced into the German military at gunpoint. They were told that their families were gonna be killed if they hadn't joined, and they
Hmm.
didn't want to be there, and they had done everythth they could to avoid shooting at Americans, and they had
Oh yeah.
surrendered the first chance they
Well,
got.
I mean, you had all the Romanians, Bulgarians, all the different countries. That I mean, they forced conscription into the German military, much less
Mhm.
Austrians and other natural born Germans.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Sasha said that the Malaysian armed forces are generally overlooked by Hollywood. We
Yes,
didn't even appear in Black Hawk Down,
which
despite
is
playing
so
a
dumb.
major role.
Yep.
I never knew the Malaysian military did anything. I hate the way
So
it sounds. I don't mean it like that, but like Black Hawk Down, everybody knows about that in Mogadishu, but
mhm.
the Malaysian armed forces were there.
Yeah, so most people don't realize that the United States military operates in conjunction with many different other military forces on a lot of different situations. My husband was actually stationed in Egypt with the Multi Force of Observers, or I'm probably saying it wrong again, but it's called the MFO. He was stationed there for a year, 12
MFO,
miles
sorry.
from Gaza,
Yeah.
and he served with Fijian soldiers, Colombian soldiers, Italian, British, German, like you name it. He served with up I think it was like a 15, 17, more than that, I have lost count. Different He's worked directly with so many different armed forces, Canadian, Australian, throughout his career. And so many times when they're depicting situations with the United States military, they completely overlook our allies who were there with us in the thick of it. Heck, most people don't even know that Colombia and I believe Ethiopia fought in the Korean War.
No, the only time I've ever heard of Ethiopia fighting is Black Hawk Down and the Italian invasion by Mussolini.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
We have ever
Colombia,
since Rome, the
forget it. I
Italians aren't
never.
very good at it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sure you get all the Italian surrenders jokes too.
Hey,
So
the Italian surrender jokes aren't as bad as the French ones, though. But I'm part French, so I guess I get it all.
I'll badmouth the French before the Italians any day, but that's just me. So
Um,
yeah.
no, actually, do you know that in Desert Storm, we kicked their patuchas so thoroughly that at one point an Italian news crew landed just to get some B-roll, and they had
Hmm.
an entire unit surrender to them, an unarmed Italian news crew. So, ha.
That's how bad they didn't want to fight. Oh man, yeah,
Yep.
that was so bad. So all right, well, any last thoughts on the comparing the two battles of Midway? See, I but it's
I'll have to
interesting to
admit,
see. There's
the
interesting.
older one
Uh-huh.
I'm cutting you off again. Nope, you're not
I
allowed
know
to talk.
that's
You asked
okay.
me a
All
question.
right,
Shh, shh.
it's not here.
Um, oh, don't do that. No, but to be completely sincere, I've seen the more recent one,
Yeah.
n- nine, the 2019 one more recently, and
Hmm.
so it's fresher in my mind, and so it's hard to compare them because I have
Right.
not seen the other one. I think I saw it maybe back in college,
See,
so it's been a while.
what's interesting though is because I read that book, Shattered Sword, where they took a
Mhm.
new look at the Battle of Midway, and what's interesting is that the newer movie is more along those lines than the 76, because 76 you get into all the history, there's limited sources, translations, all that stuff, and who wrote the history back then. They were flying off the carrier. They were 5 minutes from all this, and that's kind of
Yep.
what the way it was in the 76. But this historian partial and all them, they're like, there were no aircraft on the flight decks. And what you saw in the more modern one is the case of they spent all their time switching bombs and having to avoid being attacked. They didn't have
Mhm.
many planes on the flight deck, which I find it more compelling. It's like they took the best of the actual history and put it in the newer one. But where I lost with it a bit was I thought they over Hollywood fight it between the CGI and the drama with some of the characters.
Yeah.
But I like
They
the way that they brought in a lot of that stuff better than I think the older one did. But the older one was a product of its time too.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love when we get West here and do a comparative contrast between the two, because there's so much between the two in the new accounts, because there is controversy, there is question about
Mm.
what really happened then, and all that, and how the movie, but I still, Admiral Nimitz by Woody Harrelson. I
Mhm.
mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was hard for me at first. That was hard for me at first because I always say
I
Henry Fonda,
was too. I
but
was like, I'm not sure how
I
I feel about that
actually
one."
I actually did okay with it. Not the Woody the bartender from Cheers, but he actually, I thought, did a really good role with it. I thought he did it. Whereas I will never accept Alec Baldwin as Jimmy Doolittle in Pearl Harbor. The
Well,
way an actor
okay.
carries himself matters a lot to me, and I thought Woody Harrelson really showed he
Here's a
could play a
random
serious character.
question for you. How
Okay.
did you Okay, for that one and then the 2019 one, I loved how they showed the code breakers.
Yes.
That the what they covered on the code breakers is actually incredibly accurate, especially the slippers. Oh my gosh, that guy
Oh yeah,
really did
Rochefort.
run.
Have you
Yep.
heard about his story though?
I've heard a bit about
He,
him.
he got he got done. Look into him and how he was done dirty over the
Oh, no,
years.
yeah, they hosed his
Washington
career
politics,
over.
Washington
Yeah.
politics. No, not politicians, but the Washington brass. Really.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
But yeah, the
everyone
bunny slippers.
there's politics in military.
Yeah.
We're like that sometimes. No, but the other thing, I was gonna say, okay, this is my plug for a random movie that is not historically accurate. It's kind of like sci-fi meets military history.
Uh-huh.
Final Countdown.
Oh, I love that one. Yes. I kept
I
wanting
love
them.
that.
I kept wanting them. Come on, save Pearl Harbor! Like it's gonna magically rewrite history for us in real life, and like the what if. But it was interesting. I liked the way it ended with the one officer that come back that got stuck
Yeah.
back in the 40s.
Yep.
That was interesting.
That
No, that.
one was
Mm-hmm.
I
But see,
I have
I like the way Bridges did. Was it Kurt Russell?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
Kurt Russell. It was just, it was his dad, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. But basically, he did what the commander at that point. At that point, he would not. Oh, we can't get involved. He's like, well, I'm a
Oh,
U.S.
heck
military
no.
officer. We're going to do it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yes,
And, like,
exactly.
I just love that because his whole thing was like, "Yeah, we all know what happens. We all know what goes down, and you know what? They ain't gonna stop us."
Mm, I
Like,
know.
you know
Yes.
and I just love those parts. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Hey, Oliver, good to see you tonight. Yeah, Rochefort, code breakers are real. Now, there's some dispute about whether the band was real or not, but still. Uh, but yeah, of course, AF, the trick to get the desalination was, as I understood, not so much to convince Nimitz, but Washington. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Without those code breakers, and actually, it's more like deciphering parts of it to put it together. It's
Yeah.
not like they understand everything that's being said, but yes, Rochefort and them, and then what happens to him later really, really is a
It's
tragedy
so
to
sad.
the. Yeah, good night, Strings and Pucks. We're about to wind down in a few minutes anyway. Good to see you, Oliver. Thanks for coming in. We got 20 likes. Woohoo! We did it tonight.
What?
But yeah, but see, gosh, we could spend hours. We'll have to do this another time. And
Yeah.
but there was one other movie that I thought of that thought real quick. And I had it a minute ago,
So
and
I actually the funny thing is watching a lot of those movies with my husband, he'll be like, "Yeah, that's fake. That's right. That's wrong." But you have to understand there's a few things. Hollywood rarely is going to completely accurately depict things, mostly because they're Hollywood, and also because sometimes the consultants don't tell them everything
mhm,
because there are certain aspects of the way things are done that are, well, not stuff we talk about.
right,
And so there's aspects about tactics or whatnot that are going to be close hold or equipment that existed or still exists. So
Hmm.
especially in some of the more modern things, oh my gosh, but that was one of the things I liked about Top Gun Maverick
Hmm.
is they managed to cover a lot without covering things they weren't supposed to cover, but there were still
Right.
times you should it's
Yeah.
I actually did a whole review on Top Gun Maverick. There are some things that I was like, yeah, that's a load of crap. And then
Yep.
there's other stuff I'm like, oh heck yes, that's straight on. So Top Gun Maverick is one that I can say more recently that we genuinely loved. Um, but yeah, the Malaysian soldiers, yeah, they do sometimes. I was noticing what you were saying about that, Sashi. They do switch the ethnicities of different soldiers. And sometimes, depending on, like, for example, we've not always had a favorable political perspective of Colombia. So Hollywood doesn't often acknowledge that we do work with the Colombian military and we do
Hmm.
and have um, associated with them and assisted them in different endeavors. So there are times where they do downplay different assistance, the assistance of different countries. But why they would do that with Malaysia, I have no underst I just don't understand.
Yeah.
That's sad that they're not recognizing Malaysian soldiers and their commitments.
Replace them
Why
with
did they
Pakistan
why would
earlier,
YouTube
but yeah.
remove that? That's
I
so
don't
sad
know.
that you
It's
that's
Hey,
just
listen,
wrong.
my first one of my early football streams, Hendon Hooker was the quarterback for Tennessee. They held the comment for review because it had the word Hooker in it. That was a
Oh my
name.
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you straight up that they do I doubt I'm ever gonna get monetized on YouTube just because I don't pull punches when it comes to military life.
Yeah.
I did interview a veteran, a female veteran who's also a military spouse, and she spoke about, a very sensitive situation that occurred that caused her to get out of the military and how it was handled inappropriately.
Right.
In that episode where I talk about the draft, I explained my very, very, very adamant reasons on why I don't feel like it's appropriate. I
Mhm.
feel like if the United States government wants to encourage and include and forcibly include more females in the service, they need to do a better job of providing certain taking care of individuals who take advantage of female service members. Probably the most tactful way
Mhm.
I can say without getting you flagged. So
Yeah, I
I
got
don't
you.
pull punches. I'm never going to pull punches with
Mhm.
YouTube. Veterans may tactfully phrase things for
By the way,
their own.
that other podcast I've referred to several times, they
Yeah.
have on a few of their podcasts, especially on certain sensitive when they're like, "Hey, we're getting flack," and they're like,
Oh yeah.
we're gonna tell the history the way it is. We don't care." You
Yeah.
know.
I'm not going to
Um,
sugarcoat things. I'm not going to
yeah.
pull punches. I'm going to be honest. And
Yeah.
if anyone has an issue with that, deal with it.
Yep. Absolutely. I could not remember what I was going to ask you about. Maybe it'll come back up. But
It was
we've
some movie, but yep,
yeah, it
that's
was.
fine.
We've gone at 2.5 hours. There was something, and it was like, well, and as I had it, then it was we squirreled, and then I'm like, it's gone, and so who knows? But let me go ahead and let you wind up in the next moment or two. We got your link here. Tell everybody again that may have come in about you what you do.
So I am a military spouse. I've been a military spouse for over 10 years. And my mission is to record and encourage and build a community where military voices are heard and able to express themselves, whether they be veterans or spouses, Gold Star families, anyone involved in the military community. If you have resources for the military community and or you are part of it and you want to share your story, every story matters. Every experience matters. Every life is valuable. And we are losing so many of these stories every day. We have over 10 million veterans in our country, and most of them have not had their story recorded and shared. So if you are part of the veteran community, if you have a veteran in your family, please share their story with me. Get in contact with me. Let me know. I want to record their story. If it never comes on the podcast because they would rather keep it private, that is fine, but it should be recorded. And I am more than willing to make copies and send them to their families so that you have that record. But if they are willing to have it shared on the podcast to encourage and inspire and share that perspective, I would be grateful for that. But the whole existence of my podcast is based on amazing people coming and approaching me, sharing those stories, introducing me to their family members, and allowing me to be a part of their story. And by and through that, sharing it with basically the world. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If this is true, I just came while you're looking at something came across. If this is true, 83 years ago today, the Marines landed on Guadalcanal.
yes.
Wow, I found
Today
out.
is also
Yeah.
today is also Purple Heart Day. It's the day we remember and recognize every person who has been injured or lost their life in the service of our country,
Hmm.
and all recipients of Purple Hearts.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to wind it up right here today. So much to I actually got to figure out. I got last year when I was cleaning out my mom's house and stuff. I found a lot of my granddad's paperwork, discharge stuff, and that he was discharged in '43, probably after Bougainville, but it was
Mhm.
medical. And then of course I found where he was in the old. He always talked about it, but he was in the old horse cavalry in the army in Fort Hood back in the '30s and stuff, and it was really, really, really interesting to see. Very emotional to do it. And yes, I remember the movie Platoon had that. The first real casualty of war is innocence. Absolutely. Well, tomorrow night about 9 o'clock, we're planning on going live with a squirrel stream. Outside of that, my streams may be on Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays are sports. Thursday, I'll be talking with Alaska Jeff at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking Bigfoot. So, a topic I really would like to get into. I've always wanted to talk about this, interested me. So, well, with that, other streams will be random with Fortnite and other stuff. Misses next few weeks. The best thing is I can say follow us on Twitter for when we go live. Get the notifications, and unfortunately, a lot of times the notifications don't work. But just keep checking. Hopefully, we'll see you. Sam, it's been a blast. It's been a pleasure.
On my Okay, so I have a Facebook. If you look up Sam Wolf, Life of a Military Wife, I pop up on Facebook. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to contact me and let me know about someone who could be on the podcast. Also, if you go to my YouTube page, my email is on there, my podcast email.
Mm-hmm.
So you can contact me through that as well.
On the channel,
And I'm also on
correct?
X and everything
Okay.
else.
Okay. There's the YouTube link there too. Also, you can find Sam on X also at the same name, Sam Wolf, Life of
Hmm.
Military Wife. All right. Well, folks, thank you again for being here, Sam. What a blast. I mean, we could go another 10 hours if we kept talking movies, but I know
Oh, probably.
I love it. This is what I love about getting into streaming. Finding somebody fun where we can just relax, have fun, and talk fun stuff or serious stuff, and just have a good time together. But on that note, everybody, thank you so much, and y'all have a great night, and we will catch you later.
Ciao,
Bye, all.
everyone. Ciao.
Ciao. Oh, yeah, like mealtime, reveille, reveille. I'm sorry, I hadn't
No,
ended the stream
ciao. I'm
yet.
Italian.
Ciao. I know.
Buonanotte.
I'm like
Ciao.
I'm hungry. It's time to go to the Waffle House. Okay, bye. Not chow time. Bye, guys. Y'all take care.